All right, we are officially live for the 10-year anniversary Inception Watch Along. This one is a pretty exciting one because this is one I haven't seen in a very long time. Considered one of Christopher Nolan's, if not his best film. A lot of people's, this was kind of the film that really kind of got them in the mind of Mr. Nolan here. So I have a special group of dream catchers, dreamers, heist people with me tonight to watch this film and break it all down. But before we introduce my special guests, if you're new to the channel, definitely welcome. I do watch alongs. I try to do at least 3 a month since everything went down with the quarantine. Just seems to help the days go by, having some great conversations with some great people. So definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any content. Give this video a thumbs up. Helps out the channel tremendously. But also, when I bring my guests in, make sure you check out their channels, their Instagrams, their YouTubes, their Facebooks, their websites. They have a lot of great content, a lot of great things to say about movies and films and TV and all that fun stuff. So definitely support them. And also, too, I thought it was important to notate what a watch along is. Like I said, I've been doing this for quite a few months, and some people aren't too familiar with the concept of a watch along. So essentially, if you are at home and you own this physical copy, put it in your DVD player, your Blu-ray, whatever the case may be, and we'll be starting this in about 10 minutes. You'll press play on your end, and that can be a digital copy, Vudu, it's on Amazon, it's on YouTube, and all that fun stuff. And essentially, we're just commentating on the movie. So this film will not be on this screen at all due to copyright reasons. So it is upon you to have this film at home. And like I said, we're going to talk about the film, break it down, as well as just talk about Christopher Nolan, talk about other stuff in film, talk about just great conversations. This is what it's all about. So again, this movie will not be on this screen. I hope you have the copy at home. Again, if you don't own a physical copy, it is available to stream on many different streaming platforms, to rent, to buy, and all that fun stuff. So with that being out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my dream. I guess we'll just call this dream catchers tonight. So starting off first, this gentleman is in Florida. He has a great Instagram page. We have been friends for quite a few years now, which is crazy to say. And he's been on one watch along about a week ago for a film that we watched, and that is Film Explorer. What's going on, my friend?
What's going on, Elliot? Audience, viewers, movie fans, glad to be here, Elliot.
Definitely, man. If you want to tell the people, man, a little bit about your Instagram page and kind of what you're about and all that fun stuff, man.
Sure. Right now, you can find me only on Instagram as film_explorer with an L at the end. We do daily movie reviews. I try to do one fan cast a month. We also welcome movie fans to write reviews for us, and I post them. And just stuff we all love. And thank you for being here. Thank you for having me, Elliot. And can't wait for Inception.
No doubt, man. Excited to have you on tonight and break this film down and see what you think about the film. Is it a dream? Is it a reality? And all that fun stuff, man. Excited to break it down with you tonight. This gentleman here, man, has been, we have been collaborating for the last few months, and it has been such a blast to get to know him and be on his channel and vice versa, do watch-alongs, talk movies and stuff. He has a lot of great insight on films, from his website to his podcast to his weekly channel lives that he does, and just so many great stuff. I'm talking about the one and only Joe from Guy at the Movie. How we doing tonight, Joe? Oh, Mike might be muted there.
Man, if this is a night where if I have tech issues, we're going to have an issue. Hey, you flatter me. I appreciate it. Very happy to be here. Pumped to watch this with a good group that you have together, meet some new faces, and be able to interact with everyone that jumps on and chats along with us.
No doubt, man. Yeah, if you want to tell the people about your wonderful content, man, your websites, your lives, and all that great stuff.
Yeah, a lot going on over at Guy at the Movies, daily movie reviews, as well as a weekly podcast that is now getting into a good rhythm. So I co-host with Math Teacher Movies, Sean himself. And that is live, recorded live every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern and released the following morning as the Guy at the Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. There's also some bonus episodes that are just kind of one-offs that are around a specific topic. So most recently on yesterday, which again, quarantine brain, it seems like it was 3 years ago, but it was just a day ago. Yesterday, I released a interview with Sean O'Connell, who's writing a book that's coming out early next year about release the Snyder Cut, that movement, the fandom, and everything behind what we've seen happen with Zack Snyder's Justice League. But in addition to that, there's some events coming up that I will plug at the end here, such as a Star Wars themed Quizzo, Disney themed Quizzo, and some other stuff coming down the road. But the best part of all of this is being able to collaborate with such awesome people, and really glad that Elliot gives us all the opportunity to jump on and meet with everyone here.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Like I said, man, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you more and interact with you, and your insight on film and TV, man, is fantastic. So I'm glad to have you on tonight, my friend. And then this gentleman here, talking about collaborations, he was one of the people that inspired me kind of pre-pandemic in regards to interacting with people, reaching out to people, and having different people's voices and opinions be out there. He runs an incredible Instagram page with his daughter, a lot of great insight, funny guy, very awesome guy as well. I'm talking about the one and only Big J from YOLO Movie Reviews. What's going on, Big J?
Hey there, how you doing, everyone?
Good, man. Loving the swag tonight, wearing the Grinch. Very swagged out, loving it, man. But Big J, man, people aren't too familiar with the format over there for your Instagram and your different social media accounts. Tell the people where they can find you and a little bit about yourself.
So we're mostly on Instagram at the moment, and what we do is we do reviews, we do fan castings, lists. We just share everything that we watch and we want to talk about. It's me and my daughter. We started this because she's living in a different country than me. So we just wanted to have something that would connect us. And doing that, we found out that there was a lot of people out there that love movies like us. And we just started these conversations. Then we started, like you said, we wanted to collaborate more with people. So we create a movie club that every month we do an event of some kind. And we just get different accounts to participate and just make this community that's so cool better. At the moment, we're concentrating on that. Jasmine is going to come to Portugal now this next month, so I think we're going to do a lot more video content because we're going to be together and it's a lot easier. So we're going to do some more stuff this month, and that's pretty much what we're doing now.
Can't wait to see the next venture that you guys have planned for us next month with the videos. It's going to be awesome, man. Cannot wait. And then another guest that I have tonight, this gentleman made his first appearance on this channel a couple months ago with a horror watch along that we did, and just has been a fan of his ever since, and excited to have him on tonight. He has a great Instagram page himself, has a great insight on film. I'm talking about Sean from Moviebirb. What's going on, Sean?
Hey, Elliot, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. Excited to be here with you guys tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a kind of different, not doing a horror film.
Yeah, I know, right? But still kind of gets in your head, this psychological Inception film that we're watching tonight. But yeah, Sean, if you want to tell the people what you're about, what your Instagram's about, and all that fun stuff, man, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thanks. So right now, mainly I'm on Instagram at Moviebirb. I'm doing a story tournament, doing A24 films. So we're going to be starting the quarterfinals here tomorrow. And there's some pretty interesting matchups coming on with that, and then just interacting with you guys. And I got some good stuff up my sleeve for the next couple months. But yeah, I'm really excited to be here and to interact with you guys. And again, thanks, Elliot, for getting us all together.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I'm loving the A24. My favorite movie got knocked out pretty early, but I'm loving the tournament, man. It's incredible how many films they have, and their filmography is just like, very divisive at times, but I love that studio. So glad to have you on tonight, Sean. And last but not least, first time appearance on the Movie Files channel, doing a watch along. Been a fan of his for a while. He does a lot of lives, a lot of movie reviews. He has a lot of great opinions on stuff. I know he's a big Spider-Man fan. We wasn't able to get him on last week, but we got him tonight for Christopher Nolan's Inception, talking about the one and only CertainVids. What's up, man?
What's going on? Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear, man. Yeah.
Okay, this is different because I'm connecting my headphones and I usually have them plugged into my mic, so my voice sounds different. But thanks for having me on. I'm super hyped. Inception is one of my favorite films. Christopher Nolan's my favorite director, and I'm so excited to do this. I was having a little bit of tech problems, but got them kind of sorted out, so I'm ready.
No worries, man. Yeah, if you want to just fill people in a little bit, CertainVids in regards to your content, where they can find you and all that good stuff, my friend.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I am CertainVids. You can find me on YouTube, CertainVids, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, all the same thing. And like you said, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I have been my entire life. But I love movies, movie reviews, movie rankings, a lot of live streams. I do a weekly podcast that is live on the channel, and then I'm trying to do more pre-recorded stuff on that thing as well. So yeah, a lot of content. You can find me everywhere at CertainVids.
No doubt, man. No doubt. We might be having a little collab in the future that I'm excited about, that we might talk about a little bit later. But I couldn't be happier to have this group of, like I said, I don't know what we can call ourselves, the Dream Catchers. Do you guys have a name you want to come up with? I can't think of it.
The Dream Team.
The Dream. There you go. Nice and simple, right? Unlike this film, which isn't simple but very methodical. It's crazy. Christopher Nolan. We're gonna obviously break all the Christopher Nolan stuff. What we like about him, when we don't, this, that, and the other. But something I always appreciate about him is just the lack of simplicity about his film. There is a simple aspect, like this film is a heist film, and it has genres that we've seen before, but just his spin on it, to all pun intended. What he does to this film is just it's the Nolan thing to do, I guess, right? So very excited to rewatch this for the first time in a long time, which we're going to get this started in about 5 minutes. I'm going to kind of go round table style, starting with Film Explorer. First time you saw Inception, and what was your first time being exposed to Mr. Christopher Nolan?
Well, I started watching Christopher Nolan back when I was a little kid with Memento. It was actually my first movie. I remember I missed Inception theaters, unfortunately, but I remember, I'm not gonna spoil the ending for our viewers, but that ending haunted me for so many years, and I had to rewatch it 6-7 times after. And well, you all know how it goes. But yeah, I was blown away from what Christopher Nolan pulled off of this film. It's incredible.
Yeah, man. Memento, one of his I haven't seen The Following, which is is the first official film, but Memento, it was my first time too, back in, it's 20 years, which is insane. But yeah, this is 20 years in the making, man. But Joe, same question to you, man. Your first time being exposed to Inception, did you get the chance to see it in the theater? And I guess, what was your first time meeting Mr. Nolan as far as his films go?
Yeah, I think Batman Begins was honestly the first time I probably was aware of Nolan. But Inception is by far my favorite Nolan movie. I remember seeing it in theaters and being a little confused at the end, but it's one of those where there's just, I think it's an accessible movie.
Yeah.
But there's so much to keep your eye on, and so many layers to this, that it's so great to watch and so wonderful that every time you go back, you catch something different. So I totally agree. I think there's a simplicity to the movie, but it's just so well done that you always, you feel much more complicated than it really is.
No doubt. Yeah, this again, I'm very excited. Obviously, with these watch-alongs, we're interacting with each other, commentating, but I'm still excited to kind of pick you guys' brain on certain scenes and what you think certain things may mean. So can't wait to press play, which we're going to do in about 3 minutes. But CertainVids, man, same question posed to you regarding first time you saw Inception and kind of your first time being exposed to Mr. Christopher Nolan.
First time I saw Inception was like a long time ago, but I loved it. It was like my favorite film for a long time, and it still is one of my absolute favorites. I do love everything about the movie. The runtime never bothered me or anything. My first Nolan exposure may have been The Dark Knight, because I did see that film before Batman Begins, if I'm not mistaken. So that may have been my first exposure, but then right after that, I started to dive more into his filmography, and then I found Inception, and was completely blown away by it. That ending, like Film Explorer was saying, it has haunted me for quite some time. And yeah, I think we did get somewhere. I heard that there was a definitive answer. I don't want to know what it is, because I love the mystery. I love the intrigue, and I don't want it to be revealed,
Well, you might have to go on mute when we get to that further down this stream, because I definitely, I've seen the theories and had the conversations about maybe the indication of showing, that ending, but we'll definitely break it down. But yeah, same thing for you, Sean. First time seeing Inception and your first time being exposed to Nolan.
Yeah, no, first time I saw it was in theaters when it came out 10 years ago. Saw it on IMAX, the way that Christopher Nolan wants all of his films to be seen.
Yep.
And then I revisited it a few years after that, but this is the first time in a few years that I've seen this, so it's going to be great, talking to you guys and unpacking everything. And like it was said earlier, this is a film that has a lot of layers and a lot of things to unpack, and it'll be really great to see. And the first time, I think for a lot of us that it was either Memento or Batman Begins. That was probably our first time we knew of Christopher Nolan. But for me, it was Insomnia. was the first Nolan film that I saw back when we weren't sure like how big Christopher Nolan was going to be, and I really loved. Again, it was a smaller film than the grander stage films that he does now, but it was still a really great story with a lot of things to unpack. So.
Yeah, that's a great call, man. We'll talk about Christopher Nolan's filmography here in a bit in the stream. But yeah, Insomnia is a really underrated film, and one of his few non IPs that it was based on a novel, what have you, but still a fantastic film. And you can see early on the Christopher Nolanisms in that film as far as how he handles it. So Big J, man, wrapping this up with you, and then we'll go ahead and press play after that. But yeah, your first time seeing Inception and in your first Nolan film.
Yeah, my first Nolan film was Memento. Straight there, like we were saying before, you couldn't predict how big he was going to be, but it was obvious that he brought something different to the table. He picked up something very simple, and just by changing the way the editing worked, he did something unique. Yep. So I then went back and saw The Following. That's like a really short movie. It's not... It's a bit more of him like trying out. It doesn't have a lot of the Nolan feeling. But then, I saw every movie of him: Insomnia, Batman Begins, and Inception is like, unlike many people, I don't really get like if someone leaves an ending open, I just make my own mind, and then I don't really care what was the objective of the creator. If he left it open, is for me to decide. So I never really like lean on it thinking I have my theories and that's it. And then it's cool to hear other people. But I don't think there's a definite answer because he never gave it to you. So we all can make our own minds. And even if he comes now and says, oh, this is what I wanted to say, well, tough shit now. Now I made my own mind. So, but yeah, it's a movie. I saw it in IMAX also. Like probably most of the Nolan movies is the ones that I always try and see in the IMAX because he does build these movies for that. So I saw it in IMAX and it's just amazing.
Yeah, and we'll definitely talk about that too, just regarding the name Christopher Nolan, one of the few directors that can actually, like you just said, Big J, you go to see his films in a certain format, the way it was intended to be. There's not too many directors that you might be able to say that with, even the greatest ones still alive with us today. So very excited to break it all down. But for those at home, we're going to go ahead and press play a little bit. Just want to say, bring up some people from the chat. We got Robert, of course. I know he has his 4K ready to go. Let's get this on. Dream on. Definitely. Can't wait for Tenet. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about Tenet and some, maybe possible connections to this film and hearing you guys' thoughts on that. But this will do. Definitely. We got Mark in here. What's going on, Mark? David from Flick Talk. What's going on, man? Want to show some support. Appreciate it, my friend. Again, Robert saying hi to everybody. We got Ryan O'Toole in the chat. Happy anniversary, Inception. Have a fun watch along. Fellas, one of my favorite films. Definitely, Ryan. Appreciate you stopping by. Hey, what's going on? Of course, like I said, Robert got his 4K ready and loaded and locked and ready to go. So awesome to see CertainVids. Yeah, man, I'm so excited to have everyone here. But yeah, CertainVids, first time making this appearance. Excited to have him on tonight. Memento, that's one I haven't seen in a very long time, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Memento is dope. Yes, it is. Alrighty, guys. So what I'm going to do for those at home and those watching the replay, I'm going to bring up a little clock here, and throughout the stream, I'm going to pull it up periodically so you can kind of know where we are in the movie. So with that being said, let me bring it up in a second. And if you guys are ready on the panel and you guys are ready at home, let's get this started in a 5, 4, 3, 2, pressing play now. Let's get into the dream world. So everyone is we got some physical copy watchers. Anyone watch it digitally? How you guys watching Inception tonight?
I'm watching it digitally right now.
Yeah, digitally tonight.
Yeah, digital.
Gotcha.
So
you guys aren't watching it. You're not watching it in IMAX the way it's intended to see by Christopher Nolan. You're not going to a theater to watch this tonight, guys. He's gonna be disappointed in you. All right. So I know the audio is probably low on all of our ends, but I love, Hans Zimmer goes without question, definitely has to be brought up. That score just brings you right into the feeling and the tone of just that dum, dum. Like I just remember, again, all you guys that saw that at the theater, remember being in IMAX and just being sucked into this film within seconds. And this opening here. And again, most of you guys saw it in theaters, right? IMAX for most of you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw it on IMAX, to be honest. I think I've only seen like 1 or 2 movies on IMAX, and one of them was like Harry Potter, one of the Harry Potters,
Nice.
the early ones. But yeah, I don't know.
If the plan still goes with what Warner Brothers want to do, once theaters do inevitably maybe open next year, maybe are you guys any plans on seeing this in theaters prior to Tenet?
Yeah,
I might.
Yeah, it's coming out. It's coming out in Portugal supposedly on the end of the month. So, and he has I think 10 extra minutes. So yeah, probably is gonna be one that I'll risk my life to go and see.
No doubt.
Yes, it's not as bad there as it is here, so I think you'll be safe.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to need an Inception break for a little while after this. So I don't know that I'll be going to see it in theaters.
It's interesting. Like I said, this has been my first time seeing it in probably a couple years, probably like 4 to 5 years, of being honest. I revisit a lot of his films, but not as often as I know some people do, like a yearly tradition or sometimes monthly or weekly tradition, because he has a lot of hardcore fans out there, reasonably so. But yeah, this is my first time watching this in quite a few years.
And I think it has.
I don't think I've seen this since last year, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with like the grand nature of his films too, because it's one of those things where it looks great on a big screen, but do you really want to revisit it a lot when you're watching it on your TV? And depending on what kind of system you're using, if you're going to get as much out of it as you did originally.
That's very true.
And it's one of those movies too, like the ones I do kind of revisit a lot, sending emails on the phone, whatever the case may be. You can come in and out of the film, but with Nolan, you don't want to miss anything, right? So it's not one of those put it in the background and not pay attention to it situations. Let's see. Okay, Nancy Smith, what's going on? Welcome. Ready for Inception? Yes. Let's do this. Can't wait. Awesome. So I'm loving this first scene here. We got Cobb, played by the great Leo, and Ken's character here. The kind of the switching of the perspective, right? You see him as an older man and in limbo, and the kind of the POV of those two. Again, just we're now. I love how he handles exposition, kind of explaining the situation without being too complicated and just being, as subtle as possible in this opening scene. In terms of subtitles,
I was just going to say, this is one of those movies that having subtitles on also helps you dive into it even more, and I think get a better feel for it. Because that's kind of what I'm engrossed in right now, and it's really fascinating.
Yeah,
that's one thing that Nolan knows how to do, is really great dialogue. So,
and if I'm not mistaken, I don't have it in front of me now, but I think this was his first time writing his own film, because I think for most of it was him and his brother, and then obviously, like I said, Insomnia and other films were based on Batman was based on comics. But his first time really dive into his own script. This is. The man's, regardless of how you might feel about his film, he's very ambitious, very methodical, and very detailed when he tells his story. So, like I said, I think this is the first film that he wrote solo. Just open it here.
Come on.
Mr. Joseph Levitt-Gordon. I don't know how you guys feel about him, but I'm just excited that he's kind of getting back in the limelight. Did you guys see 7500? I didn't get a chance to see that yet. Any of you guys saw
I did. I did see it. I really liked it, actually.
Yeah.
Not too bad. It wasn't amazing, but I did enjoy it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think it was just like forgettable in some ways. It's nothing new, but yeah, but I didn't saw him but I saw him on that trailer. If you guys seen the trailer of the new Netflix movie, Power.
Yeah, Project Power.
I still need to check
with Jamie Foxx.
Yeah, it's nice to kind of see him back in the sci-fi realm.
Now
just don't know where Netflix is getting all their money.
Here's the true MVP of Inception right here.
Marion.
Uh-huh.
Mel. Yeah, she's the she's the wrecking ball for sure in this film, and definitely a great performance by her.
We'll get to it, but I love later on when she like pops up in the winterscape, like the James Bond-esque winterscape, and it's like, hi. Also, there is the logo for what's it called? The studio that is slipping my mind right now. Look at the window.
Oh, I miss the Legendary Studio.
Yeah.
There's so much little. I watched it was like a deep dive into Inception like a couple weeks ago in preparation for this. Just kind of refreshing myself with all the different theories out there, and it's just so. Again, just his influences of this film in particular, whether it be The Matrix or Heat or The Shining, and kind of where he got a lot of the influences from this film, and her particular character being kind of a film noir type of character, and just how she interferes with all of the plans and his subconscious is just a great performance by her.
That's a really good description of her character and the way that she is a film noir character. Now that you say that.
Well, I'm having technical difficulties here with my movie, so I'm not watching the movie at this point.
Yeah, no worries. Did you whenever you get it up and running, just let me know and I'll bring up that clock.
Yeah, I'm fine. just the internet, like streaming at the same time as doing a live, it's never a good idea, but I didn't have that movie here.
Gotcha.
If you'd like, we can connect offline and I'll just narrate the entire movie for you.
There you go.
Yeah. It's an idea.
Okay, well, let me know.
Let's see.
So it's like you said earlier too, like this movie starts like, for the explanation given by Leo, it starts like, something about science fiction and dreams is coming, but it starts like more grounded and like a heist or like a thriller movie, and then it evolves and grows from it. So that's something like I really like about this one.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Great point. Because again, it could have went, super, explaining this, that, and the other, but kind of get you right into the action, and you're kind of learning about this world to a certain extent. But at the same time, we're still kind of curious, like, well, okay, what's going on? Why are we kind of this, as Joe said, this kind of 007 vibe so far, which I know a lot of people, especially Bond fans, would love to see Christopher Nolan do a Bond film one day, which I don't know if he would go back to a studio like that and have a character that's been around for so many years like he did with Batman, but that would be really, really cool to see him, play in that realm.
Yeah, that's what I like about Nolan. He doesn't dumb up, like he doesn't feel the need to make things easy for the public to understand. If you understand, fine. If you don't, that's your problem. Like he does his own thing, and I think that's something that's very rare today, and that not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And Robert says it too. Nolan has a unique vision, and it's like watching a work of art in motion. Yeah, I'll definitely agree with you there, man. Like I said, I know not everyone's like the biggest Nolan fan, but I think a lot of people appreciate the filmmaking aspects and kind of his craft, his skill that he brings to the big screen. And I know Big J will attest to this when it comes to. I know he talks about Ad Astra a lot, having original films that do successful at the box office, which is again not a thing we're seeing in today's Hollywood, landscape with sequels, prequels, reboots, superhero movies, and IPs we might have grew up with as kids. So I definitely always applaud him for that originality. Jay Buck, have you made it to the? Not yet, Jay. Jared, I'm glad he's able to make it tonight, man. It's glad to see you. Glad to see you. Also, love Interstellar. Yeah, we'll talk about our favorite films of Christopher Nolan. Interstellar is definitely up there for me. I didn't like Interstellar besides the ending. Yeah, we'll get to some of our favorite and least favorite Nolan films in a bit here. So again, going back to the conversation about Christopher Nolan's craftsmanship, if in this film, if this was in any other director's hand, CGI galore, right? They built this set from the ground up, and all this practical effects, which is something I always appreciate more than the CGI aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And the thing is, like we saw now in Tenet, like sometimes it's even cheaper. There's that scene that they're blowing up an airplane, and he came out as being cheaper to blow up a real plane.
Yeah,
do it in CGI,
which is crazy. Yeah,
it was amazing because you always think, oh, it's CGI to be cheaper, and then you blow up an airplane and it still comes out cheaper. So I now don't understand why we're using so much CGI. I always thought it was, it's just cheaper, so let's do it like that. But guess not.
Yeah.
And it's $200 million budget with a lot of practical effects. Just imagine how much it'd be if it was CGI.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we can all relate to this when it comes to, we might get deep in this stream tonight when it comes to dreaming, right? Whenever we have our own dreams, and that, this, the kick, as they call it, or whatever it is in this film, when they kind of wake themselves up. But that's where this film kind of gets me on we were talking about the groundedness of this film. And again, it is a sci-fi ambitious film, but I mean, we can all relate to just a simple idea of dreams and knowing when you're in a dream, not in a dream, and reality versus non-reality. We create our own realities. But again, it's just the ideas and the groundedness that we can all kind of attach ourselves to with this film, especially this one in particular.
I wish I had like a kick or something that would like get me out of the crazy dreams I had when I was a kid. Like I used to fall asleep and have Shredder from the Ninja Turtles was always sitting on the edge of my bed.
Nice.
I was a troubled kid, I guess. I don't know what was going on with that, but it would have been great to be able to get out of that.
Yeah. No, I took a nap earlier today, man, and I had like a small form of like sleep paralysis, which is like the worst thing ever. But yeah, no, dreams, man. That's a concept. That's a stream within itself. Just the ideas of dreams and deja vu and all that different stuff, man. It's just themes and conversations that I always love to kind of break down and discuss. And this film, again, is one of those films that definitely resonate with me in regards to just the conversation on a grand scale on the screen, big screen.
Yeah, and looking at this year we having, I wish it was a dream.
It may be, Big J. It may be, man.
I wake up one day and this was all like a nightmare and everything's okay, but it's been a strange one.
Yes, it has, to say the least.
Getting stranger by the day.
Yeah. Sorry if I'm looking down. It's just my dog. He's just getting on my nerves.
Oh, no worries. I know he likes to make cameos, so he's always welcome on the stream, man.
I know, but he was operated, so now he's like extra needy. He's just like, just.
That's funny. Yeah, Project Power. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And kind of, again, these streams are just about conversations in general. We're obviously going to talk about Inception, Christopher Nolan, but just kind of, you guys kind of touched on, I think Big J had mentioned it kind of quickly in regards to Netflix and the announcements of this last few weeks. But Project Power, to the Chris Evans, Ryan Gosling conversation, 200 plus million on, the film they're going to do. Most recently, Gina from Love and Basketball, the director for that, who did the Old Guard, first African American to make the top 10 list on Netflix. So I'm just curious, starting with Film Explorer, man, just a conversation about streaming, man, and Netflix and Hulu and HBO Max. Like, what's kind of your thoughts on the landscape of film, especially with movies not at the theater and streaming is becoming more and more successful? As Joe's wearing his Blockbuster shirt, the theater is becoming a blockbuster-ish type of concept, maybe in 5 to 10 years. But just kind of your thoughts on streaming.
Don't say that.
No, so it definitely depends because, like you said, like we talk in the Moviebirb and we talked in the past Midsommar Watch Along. Mm-hmm. We said it depends on the intention of the director, because Christopher Nolan, and there are certain directors that do the movies for the theater experience, and it's an experience that you don't receive at home, I may say. So it honestly, a Netflix movies lately has been bad, honestly.
The thing is, for and I always bring up the old card, but I'm older than all of you probably, and the thing is, I remember when Blockbuster was a thing and it was huge. Everyone was saying then that he was going to kill cinemas. I think the cinema experience is going to be around. Probably is going to be, you're probably not going to care about going to see a small comedy or romantic movie or whatever. Yep. But you're still going to have Marvel movies. You're still going to have Nolan. You're still going to have those big experience movies that you're going to go there. So I think what we're talking about now, it's nothing new. We talked about ages ago.
Yeah.
Then we got Avatar, and then there was the crazy thing about the 3D, and people went to the cinema about the 3D. Now probably on Avatar 2 is going to bring something else, and like, no, we're watching the movie and we're getting tickled by the Avatar people. I don't know. He's going to make something out, and we're going to have a couple of more years that everyone's going to be nuts about it. So I think that experience is not going to go away, and people will still go. Probably will be more expensive. It's going to be more like a theater kind of experience that you don't go every day.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to go away. Like, at least I don't. I hope it's not going to go away.
No, well said. And Joe, just continuing on to that point, before we get there, just kind of a very integral part of this film are the totems. And obviously, is he in a dream or not in a dream? And we get the little brief scene here with his kids that we never see their faces until a certain point in the film for certain reasons why, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But the totems are definitely a conversation to have. But yeah, Joe, same question for you, man. Just kind of like Big J was saying, I'm kind of in the same boat where I think theaters will go kind of like the opera. You know, there's like a big event film, Endgame, Christopher Nolan, whatever the case may be. But then like, you know, the smaller independent films may be VOD or very small windows in the theater. But just kind of your thoughts on the landscape of streaming and where we're at as a society with theaters.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of it's going to change. And the reason I say that is because I think that what you're going to see more of is the streamers wanting to make runs for certain awards and still having to put the films in movie theaters. So I do think that it may change windows and things like that, which for a long time have needed to change. But to the point of streamers right now, and why Netflix is spending so much money, I think it's the Apple effect. And the reason I say that is Apple TV Plus and Apple itself has been spending a lot of money to secure some big name movies. And of course, you know, Greyhound was just a massive hit for them, but it's also funny because I don't know what else they really have besides like Defending Jacob and a couple other things, but movie-wise, that's a huge hit for them.
Yeah.
And then they just spent like a ton of money on the Will Smith movie that's in development, where he's playing a slave that starts fighting in the war and for his own freedom. So I think they're starting to see money spent elsewhere, and I think also that there have been some times where Netflix thought they were going to have some hits with movies that they'd be able to turn into franchises, but they haven't necessarily panned out that way. So they may have gotten a taste of what it's like to have solid movies that are award contenders with like Marriage Story and The Irishman.
Yeah.
But I think that's what we're going to start seeing moving forward.
Yeah, and you throw Roma in the mix and Beast of No Nation, and I mean, it says something that Martin Scorsese can't get his film bought by our studio. He has to go to Netflix to get his films made. And Apple, was it Apple that bought his new film with Robert? And So it is a different landscape, and I think like I said, like you all have been saying, Big J with and Joe, everything's going to kind of stay the same, but there's going to be some changes in regards to just like I said, maybe the smaller films don't get the same window of opportunity to be in the theaters as long as they may have been in the past. But yeah, same thing. CertainVids, just kind of your thoughts on the landscape and all different types of age groups on this panel, but the generation below us, right? They're growing up now at home watching movies. They're growing up on their mom or dad's tablets and phones, and they're not used to going to a theater. They're used to watching Avengers Endgame for the first time on their home screen. So just kind of that same conversation regarding the future of cinema and the future of streaming and just kind of the landscape we're in, man.
Yeah, I think I don't think the cinema's going to go anywhere. I don't think so. I think theaters are going to stick around. Because that movie going experience, I don't think people are necessarily willing to kind of get rid of that. Mm-hmm. I think everybody wants that to stick around. So I can't really say, and I can't imagine a world where it doesn't exist. So I think we're going to see streaming services maybe up their game a little bit more, because now we're, I guess, like mid-tier films, like not like big budget, like movies like Avengers Endgame, stuff like that. Those aren't obviously going to be coming to streaming services or anything, but like one tier below that, movies like that are going to start probably hitting VOD now. And I think streaming services are going to step up their game movie wise, but I think theaters are here to stick around for a long time for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely want to get your thoughts on this, Sean. But very important line here. I don't know if I just missed it, but I know that Ken's character says to him something very, very right here. Where is it? Where he talks about taking a leap of faith, which again connects to the question about, which we'll obviously break down later, about is this a dream or is this a reality? Because it's a very coincidence that I don't know if the line has come up yet. I don't think it has. But the whole idea of taking a leap of faith was exactly what his wife said before she jumped off the edge of that building, which how would he possibly know that line that she said if he wasn't potentially in a dream? Which again, it's just little things, little Easter eggs, little breadcrumbs to kind of indicate, again, reality versus a dream and all that fun stuff. But definitely I don't even know if the line has come up yet, but we definitely want to point that out. But Sean, same question to you, man. Regarding streaming services, $200 million Chris Evans, Ryan Gosling, Russo brothers film coming in the next few years. And just, I don't even know how Netflix gets that much money to produce these films.
They don't.
But just curious, man, on your thoughts on the streaming platforms, streaming versus theaters.
Yeah, everybody brought up some really great points. And it's as long as there are filmmakers that continue to make these huge films that insist on wanting them to be seen on a big screen, they're going to be shown someplace where it's going to be a cinematic experience. With the lower level films, I know, a lot of studios already do really great VOD content, and it's probably going to continue to grow as I think Jay said, things like rom-coms and things like that don't do very well at the box office. They're just going to go straight to a streaming service or something like that. Because you look at something like Palm Springs, for example, Sundance, Hulu and Neon bought that from Sundance for $22 million, and it went straight to streaming. So as long as there are studios that are willing to say, hey, it's probably not going to break even at at a theater, we're just going to put it on a service and see what happens. It's going to be a really good balance.
Yeah, and I think too, we've all known for many, many years now. I don't know when the origin of it was, but straight to VOD, or I think of when I was growing up as a kid, Disney films, all this, the Aladdins of the world, Lion Kings, the sequels went straight to VHS. So I think it's been around for a while, the idea of these films hitting, not theaters, but streaming services. But it's interesting now that the films that were intended to hit the big screen are now being bought to hit the small screen, and kind of the ripple effect to that. Because what was it? I know Trolls was obviously the big one that stirred up a lot of controversy, but I know the actors were pretty pissed about the film not going to theaters because they weren't getting back in points on the film as the contracts was indicated. Mm-hmm. So it's really interesting to see now. Again, we talk about New Mutants hitting streaming services potentially, or on a Comic-Con maybe, or films like that are just, they just need to put it out. Because one thing, about the 2021 release dates about, push Tenet back to next year, Wonder Woman next year, there's not going to be many slots available for these films to come out in the theaters next year. So someone's going to have to bite the bullet. Candyman might be a Calvatry in that conversation, that they might just have to go to streaming. They talked about New Mutants. So it's a weird thing, that just a concept that we're kind of adapting to this, maybe the future of, how we see some of these films. But
you did just bring up a really interesting point with.
Sorry guys. Just one. What's the time I was able to get a movie on? Sorry.
Yeah, let me pull it up here for you. I think is everyone at 24 minutes roughly?
Yeah,
here it is, Big J. 24:37. We got Michael Caine's character, which is a very frequent collaborator with Christopher Nolan. He's talking about the architect, and that's where we're getting the introduction to Ellen Page character here in a bit. But yeah, 24 minutes and 50 seconds where we're at, Big J.
Thanks. Sorry.
No, you're fine, man. But yeah, what were you saying, Joe?
The point about the actors on the back end and the contracts, it's not such a linear decision that can be made by the studios that, we're just going to bump this movie to XYZ. There's going to be a lot more planning that goes into it down the road, because seeing what the reality is right now with the films that are being thrown into VOD, you can almost guarantee that that's going to be part of negotiations when they sign actors and actresses on now, and go from there. But fun fact as well is that Ellen Page, one of her competitors for this role was Taylor Swift.
What a different movie that would have been. With Taylor's 10 years. How old is Taylor Swift? She would have been like a kid, like a I don't even know how old she is, but yeah, that would have been a way different experience. I think. I don't even know 10 years ago if she was as popular as she is now.
I think she would have been 22, 21 or 22.
The Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Taylor Swift would have been.
She's in her 30s now. I thought she was a baby for some reason. But no, that would have been, because I know, like, I read the stories about how Harry Styles got his role in Dunkirk, that Christopher Nolan had no idea who he was. And he auditioned like 500 people for that role. So it would have been, it's always interesting too. I guess we can kind of I have more questions about Christopher Nolan's, but just curious on the art versus the artist thing. We don't know that much about Christopher Nolan outside of these last few months for whatever reason, whether it be conversations about him not allowing chairs on the set, but that got confused. They got allow phones on the set. But I think the more revealing news that kind of came out hasn't been confirmed. It's been like a bunch of rumors and tabloids saying that, he's really pushing hard for Tenet to come out in the theaters, with everything going on. And again, we don't really, he doesn't have social media. We don't see him getting interviewed a lot, but I'm just kind of curious on starting with Film Explorer, just kind of your thoughts on Christopher Nolan, the artist, the director, this person that people love this film, just kind of just roundtable style. What's your thoughts on Christopher Nolan, man?
Honestly, Christopher Nolan is he's a visionary, and I know he writes his movies with his brother also, if I'm not mistaken. Most of the movies they do together. Mm-hmm. And he always brings this external person, like he did for Interstellar, which I consider one of my favorite movies of all time. He brought and he got to design an accurate design of the black hole. So he brings a science-related person to dive deep into the movies, and that's something like making special, and I don't know what else to say about him. Like you said, it's weird he doesn't have social media or anything, but he always does his movies through Warner Brothers, and he's really pushing for Tenet, and it proves its dominance over Warner Brothers against DC, for example, because DC has altered their movies against their director's visions, and it's something that hasn't happened to him as a director.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. I mean, there is that whole narrative of, Hollywood puts a certain director in the spotlight for they can kind of tell them how they want the film to go. But yeah, I don't see Christopher Nolan ever biting the bullet and kind of leaving his vision on a back burner to appease the executives. But Joe, just kind of same question to you, man. Just your thoughts on Christopher Nolan with some of the news that came out about him. Again, nothing's been confirmed about his thoughts on the film being in theaters and people risking their lives to see a movie of his. But just kind of curious on your thoughts on him as a director and just the facade of Mr. Nolan.
Yeah, I think reading between the lines, it sounds as though there is a bit of ego involved. And I think that when we point towards him as one of the most original directors of our time, you're seeing it play out with Tenet. All the stories about how Warner Brothers is trying to appease him with the release dates, and I think it's kind of well known now that Warner Brothers would push that film back much further, because the problem that they also have is the window for marketing and getting all that out, and the loss of money, and so it's very interesting to me that as a filmmaker who is, I'm assuming, proud of this film, that he's not coming out and saying, yep, we're going to push it. Like, we made the agreement. It doesn't make sense. The world is in turmoil. Let's push it. Mm-hmm. But he wants to be like the savior of the theaters or something right now. And it does leave a bad taste in my mouth. Now that's probably just too simple for me to judge him on. But at the same time, I don't really know much more about him. So when that's the news that you get about him, right? Like, what more are you supposed to think?
I mean, it makes sense that the guy directed a Batman film, because we don't know who this guy is, pretty much. I mean, I watch a lot of the behind the scenes of his films. I mean, again, he's very meticulous and very articulate when he comes to talking about how he makes a film and all that stuff. But yeah, outside of that, to your point, Joe, sometimes, I think Hollywood, like, the best thing to do is not say things, but then there's certain narratives that you probably want to step in front of. Again, if people are saying like, hey, Nolan, your film's not able to come out, and you hear this narrative that he's kind of pushing the hand of Warner Brothers to get this film out, it kind of puts, like you said, a bad taste in your mouth. So I don't know, man. It's really interesting to see, how this whole Tenet thing shakes out, if it'll come out this year or not, because I read an article the other day about just to break even, they have to make over $800 million worldwide. And I've read an article before we went on the stream that China isn't playing any movies over 2 hours at the theater. And apparently this film is 2.5 hours. So I don't know. The budget in this film, $205 million and $800 to break even in this climate that we're in sounds impossible. But CertainVids, man, same question for you regarding just your feelings on Christopher Nolan, his style, his persona or lack of persona in regards to just not knowing that much about the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Nolan.
Yeah, man, I love him. He's my favorite director of all time. I think his movies, like you were saying, they never get too I mean, he explains it to you, but he never like over explains it, never oversimplifies it. And I think that always leaves an area where you can just like kind of fill in the gaps yourself. And I just love that about his films. Yeah. Almost all of his films are some of my all-time favorites. So yeah, I wish I could meet him in real life. I do. And hopefully I'll get the chance one day after all this pandemic situation is over.
Yeah, I mean, he's, like I said, I know for a lot of people, he's one of my favorites as well, man. It's just, his films just have this extra just feel and vibe to them, and you appreciate the craft of it all. And just now, just looking at this scene right now, guys, for those that are at home on the replay, we're about we are 31 minutes into the film. This is where Ellen Page's character is kind of showing off her skills as the new architect that they're looking for. And I don't know if you guys have seen this kind of breakdown of the characters. I can't remember which YouTuber, some famous YouTube channel kind of broke it down, where you look at Leo's character as the director of this team. Ellen Page is kind of the set designer. Tom Hardy's the actor, because he's the one that has to put on the character to play the Cillian Murphy's uncle. Joseph Levitt Gordon is the producer of the film. So I just love the kind of the breakdown of those characters, and again, just the detail there. But Sean, just your thoughts, man, on Christopher Nolan and your fan of his and his work and things of that nature.
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard not to be a fan of his, because he just puts out great movie after great movie. And I think in terms of the mystery of him, I think now that we're in more of a social media age, like this is something kind of new to us. But think 20 years ago, we didn't know a lot about Scorsese or Spielberg or anything like that. Yeah. But he's somebody who not only can make a great film, but he's somebody that cares about film and film history. Because I remember a couple years ago, he did a restoration of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and did like introductions at theaters and things like that to talk about the restoration of this film. So anything that comes out about what he says, I kind of take it with a grain of salt, unless it's like something I see from him like in an interview, like I actually hear him say it. But if he wants to be a mystery, then I'm all for it. That's fine with me, as long as he keeps cranking out good films. That's all I really care about.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, man. I mean, again, just like you mentioned, some of his favorite directors, think of Stanley Kubrick. Back in that day, there weren't TMZ of the worlds, or people taking snap photos on their phone of him directing a film, or and you mentioned something else too about the control that Christopher Nolan has over his films, whether it be the trailers, the promotion. We're going to talk about Tenet here in a bit in regards to some, potential secrets and things associated with this film. But yeah, I think he's one of the few directors that has a lot of pull in Hollywood, and particularly with Warner Brothers. But, Big J, rounding out this kind of topic regarding your thoughts on Christopher Nolan. Are you a fan of his? Do you like his work?
I have movies that I love. I have movies that I don't really care about because they're just too perfect. It's like watching a science documentary. Sometimes it's a little bit flat in terms of emotion, but that's like because of the subject matters he chooses. In terms of him, I think like there's no one in Hollywood at the moment like him. He can do whatever. If he puts this movie out tomorrow and it costs $200 million, Tenet, and he makes $5 out of it, the next day Warner Brothers is at their door saying, "Can we make another movie?" Like, it's as simple as that. He can do whatever, and it's probably one of the only directors that doesn't have to worry if his movie is going to make money, because if it's not Warner Brothers, it's going to be Netflix, it's going to be anyone else. And I think that's the thing with Tenet. He doesn't give a crap that if he makes any money. He just wants to put it out there just because of a simple thing. And that's my opinion. I think Tenet has a lot of like secrets, and he's afraid that if this movie has to hold for 1 year or something, like anyone that was in the production, anyone that was part of it is going to slip out and say something, and he's going to break completely like the secrets and the thing that he has to create with the movie. And that's like, imagine having Endgame being on production for like 2 or 3 years. we would probably find out that Scarlet Witch, Black Widow would die. We would find out all this kind of stuff. So I think he just wants to put the movie out there because he's not worrying, like, is he going to make money? Does he need to make 800 million? Yeah. He just wants to put it out there. He wants to get that first, like, experience in people that saw it for the first time and were like, whoa, this is amazing. And that's it. That's what it matters to him, because he's an artist and he wants people to talk about his movies like the first time that they came out and what was the experience and how he changed things. And I think that's the biggest issue. And it can be a little bit of ego, but that's like, but all great creators have ego, like, because they know how good they are. And if you need to know how good you are to make brilliant things, because you need to have that confidence to put something out there. And I think that's also the answer why he doesn't have social media.
But all great creators weren't dealing with a pandemic either, you know? Like, I think...
Yeah, exactly. But
that's got to be considered with him.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's like, and again, I understand. And at the same time is, if the cinemas are closed, all he asked, from what I saw in the interviews, was that there was some talks like, oh, the cinemas are going to close in the US, let's release it in Europe. And he said, no, I don't want to release it, because he knows that if he releases in Europe, people will talk about it and the experience is gone. So what I heard is, if the cinemas are closed, fine. But if the cinemas are open and we are getting Jumanji and we are getting like Sonic released for the, I don't know how many times now, at least in Portugal, that's what we're getting. We're just getting these crappy movies from years and years ago. So what he's saying is, fine, the cinemas are open. People are risking their lives to go and see Sonic. Just put my movie out there. And if people go and see it, okay. I'm not saying it's the right move. What I'm saying is, I don't think it's in case of ego, like I don't care if people die or whatever. No, I think he just wants to put his movie out there. And then from there, like that's it for him. And I think that's a little bit why he doesn't have the social media, why he's not answering. Because, like, look, we all know by experience, answering people never helps. Because whatever he says, someone is going to take it out of context. And they're going to say, oh, Nolan wants everyone to die. And like, whatever he says, look, there's no point. And like, unless you're Ryan Johnson and you really enjoy having fights with like people about your movie, because that guy, you can see that he really enjoyed those fights. People don't want to get the asshole, and he doesn't need to do it. So I think that's a little bit that. He doesn't have the social media. He's not coming out to answer people because in his mind, he doesn't need to do it. But in terms of the movie coming out or not, it's going to be a decision also of like everyone, because movies in certain places should be closed and they're still open, and companies are taking too long to decide if they're going to close it, if they're not. And if they're open, people are still going to go to watch something. So all he's saying is, like, if this is going to be open, let's release my movie. But honestly, I don't think it's going to release now. I think it's going to wait a little bit longer, but I'm not seeing waiting until next year, for example.
Yeah, lots to unpack there, and definitely want to comment on that. But something too, also the scene we just saw with the whole back and forth of all that, the competitors coming after Cobb. Is it me, or when you guys see that scene, it just feels, again, my whole point of this dream versus reality, does that almost feel like a dream, that whole sequence to you all? Like, he can't be killed. He's going through this tunnel that the walls are closing in on him, that it almost feels not realistic. Again, Nolan distraction, making you think if it's reality versus dream. Any thoughts on that previous scene that we just saw? And then going back to Big J's thoughts on after that.
Something to throw out there. We just witnessed the last time we see the totem in use till the end of the movie, because then they go to Mombasa but it's interrupted. So the last time the spin stops, we just witness it. So I don't know. It's something to like reflect on.
Yeah.
And like you said, he stops on the wall. And he tries to like go to this very thin place, which
We've all had those
seem,
dreams. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, if we talk about theories, for me, it's a dream since the beginning. I think this has always been, for me, is like the person that going inside the dreams. It's Leo's character.
Mhm.
I think it's them trying to pull him out of a dream that he had with his wife, and his wife, when jumps out of further along, when she jumps out, she gets out of the dream and he doesn't. So I think this is them trying to recover him, because there's a lot of things you were talking before that he says, oh, it's a leap of faith, and then that happens, so how did he know? But there's also certain phrases that repeat during the movie, like from the beginning, like the one, you don't want to be an old man with regrets. That's something that shows up in the movie like 3 or 4 times. And that's similar to the phrases that he says, oh, you need to put certain ideas on people's heads so he sticks with them. And that's something that's always coming from different characters. And it's said exactly the same word by word. So Nolan is not like lazy to be copy pasting that in his script. So if it's like that, it's for a reason. And the reason for me is that he is the one that's inside the dream since the beginning. So that's my theory there.
Yeah,
well, the fun of the film too is just figuring it out. Like you sit and watch the film and you admire everything that you're watching, but you know, sometimes it can be frustrating that you don't understand everything that's going on. But the fun about this film is that on top of everything else that you're watching, just enjoying unpacking everything as you're watching it.
Yeah, and the fun is whatever you have as a theory and I have, like, there's no right answer. That's the fun part, because whatever you say might be right. Whatever I say might be right. There's no right answer because they don't give you a solution. They don't give you anything. And that's the coolest thing here, because it just leaves an open movie. Anyone that discusses, and that's the cool thing. We are here now talking, and everyone is going to have a different vision of the movie.
Exactly. 10 years later, we're still talking about the film in regard to on. And I would love to get your thoughts on this, Joe, and CertainVids, and just kind of just your position on theory wise, dream, no dream. Joe, what's your thoughts on that opinion in regards to if Leo's been in the dream this whole time, potentially?
So I think Big J just really screwed my head up, because now I'm thinking about that aspect. And I don't really know. I don't know where I settle on this. I do think that there's something else going on that we haven't really that I haven't figured out, obviously, but that I think is probably one of the less popular theories. I'm sure that we're only dissecting pieces that make a bigger puzzle here, but I don't know. I do think that it's very interesting thinking about when we get to the part where his wife does something that potentially could have been her way of getting out of a dream. I think that's pretty interesting. So I'm gonna think on this as we're watching again, and I'm trying to pick out a few things here.
Same question for you, CertainVids, and regarding just your theories on position of dream and not dream. I've seen the videos saying that when Cobb's not in a dream, he doesn't have his wedding ring on. When he's in a dream, he has it on, because obviously that's something he, dreams about, still being married and having his kids. But just kind of your thoughts, man, on this. Is it a dream? Is Decker? Is he as a replicant in Blade Runner, or what have you? Just your thoughts on this Leo, the dream.
Yeah, I'm very confused right now, because this is the first time I'm hearing about the theory, but I think he's not dreaming at the end. That's my stance. Ever since I first saw the film, that's where I've kind of stood. So I have no idea where he is right now, but I think at the end, it's not a dream. That's reality. So that's kind of where I am.
Yeah,
I might have to watch a little bit more to see about the wedding thing, because I didn't actually know about the whole wedding ring thing. So I might have to keep an eye out for that now. So
Yeah. If from here on, I just notice they don't really make it apparent or blatantly obvious when he doesn't have his ring on, but there are moments where you can see his ring on when he's not, when he's in the dream world, and when right now we're assuming that he's not in the dream world. So definitely little Easter eggs. There is so many rabbit holes to go into especially on YouTube with this movie, which is I've been down that hole a couple times and had to make my way out of it in limbo, as they say.
There's another thing also because of the ending of the movie, because we always look as total, like it's like spinning. But the thing is, like when Gordon, I can never say his name, Gordon Levitt.
Chelsea Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah. So when he's showing his totem, like that's the dice, and the girl is trying to touch it, and he says, "Oh no, you can't touch it because like it's unique to each person and whatever." Yep. But the thing is, Leo is using his wife since the beginning. So the thing is, it shouldn't work anyway. So even if it's spinning or not spinning, it shouldn't really work because it wasn't his. So he kind of had no meaning. So even the ending, when we focus on that, it doesn't really mean anything because you don't even know if it works.
Very true. Very true. So many deep dives in this film, guys. It's incredible. But a couple of people in the chat, Jay Buck says maybe a bit early, but what are your thoughts on certain countries putting what layer of a dream the movie was currently in the corner to help not confuse people? That would have been funny, right? Just some indicator if you saw this film, like this is a dream, this is not a dream. I think that's funny, Jay Buck. But yeah, that would have been interesting if that was the case. I wish I would have seen this in theaters, not at home. The film was loud. Let's see here. We have today is a 12-year anniversary of Dark Knight. Will there be a watch along for Nolan movie? Maybe the 13th. And I mean, today is the day. We're celebrating Nolan's one of his films that turned 10 years old on Thursday. But yeah, today is the 12th anniversary of Dark Knight, which just kind of round table right quick, starting with Film Explorer. Dark Knight, favorite comic book movie all time?
It's one of the best. It's not my but definitely the best out of that Nolan Batman trilogy.
What about you, Joe?
Not the best, but definitely up there. I think it's the best Joker performance we've gotten by far. Mm-hmm. But that's a very layered question for me when it comes to comic book movies.
No doubt. CertainVids, man. No, again, we see the Spider-Man posters in the back, and I think Spider-Man 2 is your favorite Spider-Man film, and maybe of all time. But Dark Knight, man. Where's that fall in your filmography?
You're not wrong. Spider-Man 2 is definitely up there. I think Dark Knight might be the best. I don't know about favorite. I might say it's my favorite too, but obviously I'm really biased because Nolan's my favorite director. But I would say it's either best or favorite. Probably more best than favorite. But no, Spider-Man 2 is also up there. Make no mistake.
Definitely. Same with you, Sean. Comic book movie of all time, Dark Knight, number one.
It's probably in the top 3 or 4. And I think of it more as like a really great crime film that has superheroes in it. Sure. Where I think more like X2 or something like that is like a really great like superhero movie. But you can't deny how great of a movie it is.
No doubt. Big J, curious. Dark Knight, man, where does it stand for you?
Yeah, I'll go with Sean. I said this on the last watch along. I think Dark Knight is an amazing movie, but for me, it's not as much as a comic book movie. It's more like a crime movie than a comic book. So I wouldn't put it as the best comic book movie, but it's an amazing movie, but it lacks some things that for me kind of makes the comic book genre it's too real in certain ways, and you kind of like lose that fantasy world that for me comic book movies should have.
For sure. And this is randomly popping my head and starting with Film Explorer, kind of putting you guys on the spot. But if Christopher Nolan were to go back to comic book movie IP, is there a particular character that you would like to see him tackle? DC, Marvel, Vertigo, Sandman, I don't know. Film Explorer, do you have a particular character or anyone that you would like to see him tackle if you were to go back to comic book movies?
It is actually a really good question, Elliot. Thanks for it. I haven't given it much thought, but we're speaking of Dark Knight. So Dark Knight Rises ended with practically Robin being created. So I would like to see like a continuation of that maybe. It's my first thought on your question. So
No, that's great because I mean that was a conversation that was had at one point was getting Christian Bale back, but Nolan was like no. But this question I would love to get from Joe because he's DC. Me and Joe really love DC. I couldn't even imagine if Superman was instead of a Superman or Batman having a trilogy, if it was a Superman trilogy and where the DC would be. But just curious on your thoughts on what character you would like if he were to tackle another superhero, who would it be?
I would love to see him tackle something like Green Lantern because I think that he could take like the cosmic fun of it and make it more serious and grounded in a way, as much as you can with Green Lantern. But I think that would be really interesting to see and a different take on what we've gotten in the past and what we're likely to get in the future. No,
that's a great choice. CertainVids, man, same for you, man. If Nolan were to tackle another comic book character, who would you like to see him tackle?
I think it is tough because I wouldn't personally want him to come back to the comic realm. He did great with Dark Knight, but I think he's great with the original stuff. If he were to come back, I think a Punisher movie would be interesting to see by him. It's definitely very crime oriented, and we've seen with something like the Dark Knight, he definitely made it like a crime drama. So I think a Punisher movie would be interesting by someone like Nolan for sure.
No, that's great. And Sean, I want to get your points on this too, but going back to that comparison when I was talking about earlier, how Leo's the director, the producer. So I love this kind of setup, right? Again, we this at the core of the film, the deep dives we can have with this, it is a heist film. And we've seen this before, right? And heist films are coming up with their elaborate plan and all that fun stuff. But I love how they're in the different layers of dreams. And it's like almost like an empty film set, right? Again, going back to Leo being the director, you have the set design, you have the producers talking about the film making or them getting the heist. I just love this exposition. It just makes the world building so much fun. But Sean, same for you, my friend, regarding a particular character in the comic book realm. Again, DC, Marvel, Vertigo, any characters you can think of that you would like to see Mr. Nolan handle.
Yeah, I think Film Explorer brought up a really good point about maybe finding out a way to continue what he started without having to bring back a ton of the characters that he built. So maybe if they do go the Robin route, maybe do something like a Nightwing would be really cool. Otherwise, if you wanted to get out of that, maybe something like a Nick Cage, it would be really cool as well.
Nice. Big J, do you have a character in mind, man? If Nolan were to step back into the comic book world, you would like to see him tackle a certain character?
Yeah, so I've been promoting this for years now. I need to see a Silver Surfer. That would be for me the perfect, because I think for Nolan, Batman, honestly, I think it was kind of a fluke for him. I don't know. I thought he just I think he goes more to the sci-fi than he goes to the crime genre in a way. So I think I don't know if he wanted to come back to that. I think he wants to do something that can be really original, something that can be completely nuts. And I think with a Silver Surfer, if you know the character, it's kind of like the Green Lantern, but in a way it's more, you can go a little bit more nuts because it's very it's kind of a Buddhist kind of thing in space. Mm-hmm. So it could go really nuts with it visually in storytelling. So I think a Silver Surfer by him, it would just be perfect.
Yeah, no, those are some fantastic picks. And if I were to throw a couple names in the hat, definitely, I would like to see a Christopher Nolan Sandman movie. Just because of we're talking about dreams, we're talking about reality, we're talking about just these super grandioso characters. I think he would do an incredible job of displaying that incredible world, the Sandman, which is actually going to be Audible book with a crazy cast doing the Sandman book there. But that, and then I'm thinking of, again, we always, people say they want to see him do a Bond film. I would love to see him tackle maybe a spy espionage character a la Black Widow, or someone within the SHIELD service. And again, I would love to see a superhero movie about a bystander, someone like a henchman, what's their day in life following the Joker around, or what's their day try to take down an Avenger. I would love a character driven movie about a side character, just like what happens when they go home after being beaten by the or Batman or something. But yeah, he's it will be really, really interesting. Like I said, I couldn't imagine if he would have picked Superman instead of for Batman, because again, if we go back to 2005, DC was trying to make their own DC universe with having Batman. Then 2006, you had Brandon Roth come in for Superman. And then 5 years later, they had the Green Lantern. So they were trying to make a Justice League film, but unfortunately, Superman didn't do that well as Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern. So it would have been really, really crazy to see Nolan do 3 Superman films versus Batman films and how different the landscape would have been.
A fun fact I want to throw out there: the plane that they're gonna board, it's a 747. It's the same plane they crashed and he bought on Tenet.
And that is a question I have coming up for you guys in a little bit regarding just kind of the theories, your thoughts, if you would like to see that happen or not. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I think could potentially connect this to Tenet. I don't need it to happen, but if it would happen, it would be pretty crazy. We got some people in the chat saying they're going to stream Tenet because we're not going to the theaters. Yeah, I doubt that they would ever stream that, but who knows? We never say never in this landscape. The only movie besides Tenet I was looking forward to before quarantine was A Quiet Place 2. Man, I wish they would have just stream all the movies for us to watch. So I guess, kind of posing off that question and starting with Film Explorer, was there a particular film, maybe top 2, top 3 films that you were really kind of bummed out about when we had these films get delayed?
Definitely. I have, I can mention at the top of my head 4 films, and I guess 2 of them are renowned, which are Tenet and Antebellum from Jordan Peele. I was really looking forward to those 2. And then I had A Quiet Place 2 and Dune with Villeneuve as a director, which is a really sci-fi movie I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, man. Dune is my most anticipated film of the year, man. That's like the one that hasn't been talked about in December, still on the release date, but I have a feeling it's going to probably get switched, unfortunately. But Joe, say with you, man, I know you asked this question during your quarantine talks on your Instagram, but just kind of curious on, that one film that really hit you in the gut when it kind of got delayed or pushed back.
Yeah, I think A Quiet Place 2 was one that I was really pumped about. I love seeing good horror in theaters, and I unfortunately missed the first one in theaters, so I was looking forward to that experience. But in addition to that, I mean, the big ones like Dune and Tenet, definitely. I'm excited to see what they do with Wonder Woman 84 and what happens with that whole mix. Black Widow is actually one that I'm pretty excited about. And then oddly, I think just because it's been pushed back 87,000 times, the New Mutants, I'm like, all right, let's see this.
Yeah.
I'm kind of rooting for them. Like, regardless of what I feel, I'm like, come on, blow us out of the water with this movie.
Yep. I think we will be blown out of the water with that movie because just for one thing, like they had that movie that went, I don't know the name, the worst movie ever made that just came out on Disney Plus.
Artemis Fowl.
Yeah, exactly. So that one was supposed to come out in the cinemas, and when they knew it was crap, they just released it on the streaming. So the thing is, like, they holding on New Mutants, and that gives me a lot of hope that they saw something on the movie that they are holding on to put it in the theaters. Yeah. So I think it's better than people are expecting it, or it would just been dropped like the other one.
To play devil's advocate, I think one of the reasons why it probably hasn't dropped on streaming is because going back to the acquisition of Disney and Fox, that there might be something in place where like it has to be in theaters, like just contract wise. That's why we haven't seen it on Disney Plus or Hulu.
Come on, don't ruin my theory.
It has to be something.
An agreement with HBO.
No, it's the best movie ever made. It's gonna be brilliant.
I'm excited for it. But yeah, I think, like you said, John, there is some deal in place where HBO, they can't stream it outside, which, I mean, HBO Max, but obviously Disney doesn't want to put their, something that they can profit on HBO Max. But yeah, I can't wait for that film to come out. But yes, CertainVids, man, same question to you regarding just the film that really kind of hit you hard, man, in regards to, being delayed.
Yeah, A Quiet Place Part 2, which was like so close. It was like a week away, I think, and that was the one I was really looking forward to. And it got delayed. That one really, and I think the first one that I remember, the earliest second one that got delayed was No Time to Die, and I was like so hyped for that. Yeah, and that was like the first one. I had not like expected films to get delayed at that point, and when that one hit me hard. So those were probably the two that kind of caught me off guard. Quiet Place Part 2 more so because I was just so excited for that one. That one was like so close. But yeah, it would be those two.
Yeah,
It's looking like No Time Left to Die, or No Time to Die, is going to get pushed to next year now too.
I saw that article the other day.
Yeah.
Looking like, again, that's what I brought the whole conversation about these films getting pushed back to next year. It's just like, we've all made the jokes like, oh, 2021, we're going to be at the theater every weekend. But I don't know. I don't think studios they don't want to eat into their own pocket. They don't want to have competing against a blockbuster every single weekend. So again, I think one of these films is going to probably be unprecedented, but one of these big films will have to drop on stream just because, or have to delay it to 2022 for some studios, especially Disney. Like they have so many big movies coming out. They don't want to eat into their own pocket next year. So I don't know, man. It's going to be really interesting to see these last few months of some of these delays and 007, Wonder Woman. 2021 is going to be a crazy year, but I think a lot of movies are going to probably be pushed back even further. But we'll see. But yeah, Sean, same question for you, man, in regarding the film that you were really looking forward to that got pushed back.
Yeah, I think a lot of the really big ones that I was looking forward to, like New Mutants and Quiet Place 2 and stuff like that, were already said. But one that recently got pushed back that I was pretty crushed about was Halloween Kills. Like being a horror guy, like I was looking forward to seeing what the second film was going to look like, and having to wait a whole nother, and I'll wait another year. That's not the end of the world, but I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. And if I have to wait another year, that's fine. But that was a little disappointing when that news came out.
You just reminded me too. Spiral as well was one that I was kind of interested. I love the Saw movies, and I know that they've gotten like ridiculous and stuff, but very interested to see where they go with that story. So
I was also, until I saw the trailer.
It wasn't the best trailer.
No, the jokes there in that trailer. That's not the movie I was expecting, to be honest. When everyone was like, "Oh, it's gonna be like 7." And then we just have like the jokes in the car, like that are off of the trailer. I just got a bit disappointed. Mm-hmm. But I'm a big Saw fan. That's probably also like the problem is we don't get a good one for ages now. So
no doubt.
It's a bit annoying.
I mean, to answer the question, Jay, was that one of them, Saw or Spiral, or what was the film that really kind of hit you for that got delayed?
No, like for me it was still not, but it's gonna be Dune, but because I'm sure it's gonna be delayed. But that's the big one for me, because I'm probably the only person in the world that kind of enjoys the original. Not even the director enjoys it, but I think there's some really good storylines there, and there's something cool there to be told. And I was really excited about that one, and still not been delayed, but it's going to be for sure. I don't think no one is going to want to be the first one. I think that's a little bit going on. Also, your question is what's the movie that's going to drop on streaming? Is after one drops, I think we're going to see a lot of them. I think no studio kind of wants to be the first one, and I think they're all playing chicken and seeing who's going to be the first one to give up. And just put one of those big movies. And the thing is, like, Disney kind of did it, but it was so bad that we kind of understood why they did it. Mm-hmm. But when we get a good one, let's say, for example, they would put Tenet on streaming, I think it would be a lot easier for a lot of studios to do it. But also Black Widow, I was really excited about watching Black Widow. I really like that villain. The Taskmaster is one of my favorite in the comics. Mm-hmm. And like I wanted to see everything that they were going to do, how the story was going to affect now the MCU going forward. There was a lot. And then like New Mutants, like I root for the underdog. And this guy is like, it's ridiculous now. If you look at the trailer, like these actors are, they don't even need like a family album anymore. They want to show how they were when they were young. They can just show the movie. It's ridiculous. It's been like the thing. Like the director started working on this movie after he finished doing Fault in Our Stars. Mm-hmm. Okay, Fault in Our Stars. That's like my daughter watched that. She was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And it's ridiculous how long it's been in production. So I wanted to see that one a lot.
Yeah, that's That's a good one, man. Yeah, because Josh Boone is definitely, apparently we're gonna get his director's cut of the film, which was great because we all obviously know director's cuts and all that stuff, how that goes. But in particularly with this movie right now, and we'll go back to just the conversation we're having. But I love just again the detail of dreaming, right? The whose dream that we're in now. I can't think of the character's name, but he drunk, his bladder was full, hence the rain there, which I love that kind of detail there. But was someone going to say something about the anticipation of movies? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just really quick. One of the initially when it was announced that it was going to be delayed, that they ended up getting it right was Fast 9. Like when that initially came out and they said that they were going to delay it a year, everybody was like, oh my God, they're delaying it a year. Why are they delaying it out so far? And now you see all these other films that are kicking the can.
Yep.
Like they did it right with Fast 9, just saying, you know what, forget it. We're just going to go a year from now. And, we'll let the chips fall where they may.
That's a great.
The best thing on that was Vin Diesel on the same day, just before they announced it, they said, oh no, they're not going to delay it. Oh, it's going to come out for sure.
Yeah.
that shows what he knows.
They shut that down real quickly. Vin, just shut up and drive. But yeah, that was, to your point, Sean, that was, a very smart studio move, because every other studio right now is like, oh, we'll push it back 2 weeks. We'll push it back till this date, like Wonder Woman, the October taking, the Halloween spot and all that stuff. So it's just like, that was a very smart move for Universal there. So, but yeah, now we're getting, we're in the midst of the heist now. We're at the point where we're getting some action, and Christopher Nolan, I don't know how you guys feel about Christopher Nolan action. I don't know if you guys are fans of it, if you think that might be one of his more weaker elements of filmmaking. I think people complain about The Dark Knight Rises, kind of the fight with Bane, that he really doesn't, he's not I don't want to say action director, but action might not be his strong suit. So I'm just kind of curious of what you guys think about his maybe weaker points of his filmmaking, starting with Film Explorer, this action set piece here.
Oh no, like you said earlier, everyone has their own opinion. For me, it's not great action. I hate sci-fi, more deep aspect of thing, but it's still like acceptable, at least for me. That's my opinion. So, like, that's basically my thoughts on it.
Yeah, no doubt. Same with you, Big J. Are you do you think Nolan, as far as one of the bigger action set pieces we get in this film, just him as a director, you think that's one of his stronger suits, or maybe not his best sensibilities as a director?
Yeah, I don't think action is his problem. The problem is the fighting sequences. He doesn't know how to shoot fighting sequences, because when we have, like, for example, in the dark. Oh God, the one with Bane, that action sequence in the beginning of the airplane when they is like taking over the airplane, that is it's amazing. It's just amazing. And this sequence we just saw is also great. And we saw something in the Tenet trailers. That the problem is with because he's a director that he likes a lot of cuts. When we are having action sequences that involve fighting, it really kind of cuts away from it just looks like the people doing it don't really know what they're doing, and that's why there's a lot of cuts. And that's why we have a lot of cuts, for example, in movies like Taken, is because like Liam Neeson can really do the action in one cut. And the thing here is it kind of seems that way. But when you kind of give some space and it's cars or something like that, I think he's good at action, and the timing is quite good. It's just the fighting sequences that it's too close. It's just too many cuts. The shaky camera, it just kind of cuts away from the action that's happening there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think you have someone like I don't know, even the Russo brothers, they have to have in Sam Hargrave from what's the movie? Extraction to come in to do the stunts and the fighting. So yeah, not everyone is perfect all the way around, but yeah, CertainVids. Just your thoughts on Christopher Nolan and kind of appreciation with action, and if you think that's maybe one of his weaker aspects of filmmaker.
Maybe a little bit. I think in Dark Knight Rises, the fight with Bane, it could be better, but I mean, I don't dislike it or anything. So, yeah, I don't think it might be weaker than like obviously his storytelling and everything, but it's not like something that's like a deal breaker for me. It's still like really, really good. So I still enjoy his action scenes. Don't have a problem with them.
Gotcha. And then did I ask you, Sean, already about just your thoughts on his action sequences? And then Joe,
Yeah,
your thoughts too.
No, I don't, like Jay said, I think you brought up a really good point about how the problem isn't the action, it's the fighting. And one thing that came to mind right away was the big fight at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, where they're fighting in front of the bank in the jail, and how it looks almost a little stagey, where it doesn't look like a natural fight sequence. And by all means, like, I don't need his action sequences to look like anything out of a Michael Bay film or anything like that. But, that if the least of your worries as a director is you do slightly above average action scenes, then you're doing okay for yourself.
For sure. No, that's a great point. And to kind of catch up to speed, Joe, we were just kind of talking about, we just approached the part where the heist has gone wrong, which again, we've seen that in 1,000 heist movies where something goes wrong, someone miscalculated something. But, we were just talking about the action set piece with the train, the shooting, and just Christopher Nolan, how he handles action versus how he handles hand-to-hand combat. Just kind of your thoughts on him as maybe not as strong a suit. Just your opinions on that.
Yeah, I don't think it's as strong a suit, and I would expect more in a Batman movie versus an Inception. Yeah. I think it doesn't really bother me in this movie, to be honest, just because, they aren't like absolute trained assassins or whatever. Side note, that kid in the picture looks like the Deadpool kid. Just a heads up. So that's I think this is all about Deadpool in some way, but no, so like I'm fine with how it comes off in this. I didn't really take notice to any negatives here.
Well said. So yeah, now just again for everyone at home or watching on the replay, I'll bring up the clock again. We're kind of at the midst of like I said, the heist is now taking part, and we're seeing our team has kind of been rattled. Some things kind of came about that they didn't expect. So right in an hour and almost 12 minutes into the film, where like I said, a lot of the action is going to pick up now. So a couple questions, comments in the chat. Let's see here. Ken mentioned from Mid-Level Media, hot take, but I think Dark Knight Rises is better than The Dark Knight. Dark Knight, it just happens to have one of the best performances in the 21st century. Hey, man, to each his own. I definitely think The Dark Knight is the best out of the three, but, I'm a big fan of The Dark Knight Rises. Like, I love Bane. I kind of love, everything that, you see Batman going through the older back half of his life and where he's at mentally. So, but I don't know if I will put Rises over Dark Knight. Do any of you guys share that same sentiment as Ken from Mid-Level Media Reviews? Maybe you like Batman Begins more or Batman Rises more than The Dark Knight?
I do know people who like Rises more.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Yeah, same. I think Dark Knight is much better. I don't dislike Rises. I really like it. Yeah. But yeah, Dark Knight is just like on another level.
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises for me has a couple of things that really brings it down. And being like a big comic book fan also, and reading the story in the comic books, I think it's a bit rushed in some parts, because in the comic book we have him getting his back broken, and in the movie it's kind of like he got a little injury and he just goes to that prison, has a little rest, and he's fine. And in the comic books it's longer. He shows how hard he had to train to get back, and I think that was a little bit that I had issues with it. It just seemed like he gets put in that hole, you see a couple of scenes, and then he's out. Also has Catwoman that for me is like just doesn't work. There's a lot of things that for me didn't work. But Tom Hardy as Bane, I think it's like the best you'll ever get as Bane, because in the comic books, if you ever saw it, it's just a ridiculous character. Just like it will never work better than they did it there. And I think that was one of my favorite parts there.
Yeah, no doubt. Tom Hardy, again, I would love to see them where they've collaborated 3 times with this film, Dunkirk and Dark Knight Rises. So I would love to see Tom Hardy again team up with Nolan, and who knows what the future holds for Tenet. But a couple other people in the chat brings up what is she says, I want to talk to my manager, get a refund. 2020, I'm done with this year. Yeah, it's just so many different memes and jokes of like 2020 being drunk. Just get out of the car and walk home. It's just so many. I mean, yeah, this year has been a mess, guys. We all are living it every day. But we've kind of talked about it here and there, but just kind of a definitive discussion in regards to starting with Big J, favorite Nolan film out of the, I want to say 9 films from 98's Following to 2017's Dunkirk. What's your favorite film from Mr. Nolan?
The Prestige. I just think it's like a perfect movie, like in every single way. And it's still the movie that I think it kind of got me more, not confused, but got me more thinking about it after I watched the movie and thinking of what the characters had to go through, like Hugh Jackman, what he had to do. And I think it's related a lot to also a bit what Nolan has to feel as a creator, like what you're willing to sacrifice in your personal life or to get success, to get that perfect trick. And I think like The Prestige for me is kind of like his deepest movie that people don't realize there's a lot more under it, that because this one's you kind of know there's switches and there's turns and there's something that it's not what he means. The Prestige looks very like this is what the movie is, but there's a lot more there. So The Prestige for me is still my favorite movie of him.
That's a great point you make, and that's actually one of the least rewatchable. Well, the least amount of. I haven't seen Prestige only the one time. Is what I'm trying to say. I need to read for sure because it has a. I mean, you mentioned Hugh Jackman, Scarlett Johansson, Christian Bale. It has a really great cast. But I definitely need to revisit. And you brought up a point too about perfection and him maybe having a little bit of spilling the life over to this film. I think it's the same thing with Inception. You know, Cobb's character is in this dream world. He's creating his own reality, and Christopher Nolan, to a certain extent, he's trying to perfect film, right, in cinema, and trying to make these great films that we continue to talk about. And maybe he doesn't. I think I think his kid is in this movie, if I'm not mistaken. Like one of his kids in one of his films, and we don't even know that he has kids. But yeah, it's like things like that. When the artist kind of puts his
yeah. But I agree with you. Prestige is my favorite movie, but it's probably the one I saw the least because. It's not as easy to watch as all the others. It's not. So, yeah, Prestige, I watch it once in a while, but like Inception, probably watched it more. Memento, I probably watch it more and watch different versions. Like, don't know if you guys ever saw the version on YouTube that it's cut the right way. Someone cut the movie and put it in the right way, like from end to start. It still works. The guy is a genius. It still works. So, but I watched Prestige last, but I just think it's a better movie as a whole.
No, that's great, man. And to get on Sean to your favorite Nolan film, but this is a pretty pivotal part in the film. We talked about a little bit earlier. Big J brought it up with the whole totem. That's not Cobb's totem. It's his wife, and we're seeing this whole kind of scene play out, flashbacks of them being in limbo. And again, it's always a conversation about, we create our own realities, right? Are we all dreaming right now? Are we in each other's dreams? Is this not reality? But we're seeing this character, his wife, Maul, just kind of blurring the lines. She doesn't know what's real anymore. She doesn't know what's fake or reality. So this is a pretty pivotal scene and goes back to, again, the conversation we've been having so far about reality. And is this a dream? And are they trying to save Cobb? But this is a really pivotal moment in the movie here, and kind of shows us a little bit of what limbo means and what happens when you're stuck in there. But Sean, same for you, my friend, in regarding the favorite Nolan film for you.
In terms of like the best film I think he's done, I would say either probably this or The Prestige. In terms of my favorite and one that I keep going back to over and over again, I probably would say it's The Dark Knight, because I don't know how many times I've seen that film, but I know it's been a ton, and that's probably one that I can keep going back to at least once a year just to keep watching it and just enjoy it. So I'd probably go with The Dark Knight as my favorite.
That's a great film, man. It's a great pick. CertainVids, man. What's your favorite Nolan film? I think you might have said it, but I guess just elaborate on it more in regards to just your thoughts on your number one Nolan film.
Yeah, for me, it's the Prestige. I do think that's a perfect film. That's one that every time I revisit it, it kind of blows my mind every single time. That's probably my favorite plot twist in a film ever. So The Prestige, Inception's very close, but The Prestige is my personal favorite.
You guys, you and Big J, man, I got to rewatch it sometime soon rather than later because, like I said, I've only seen it the one time, and it's been like it's probably been over a decade since I've seen The Prestige. But I need to revisit that film for sure. You guys are getting me excited to revisit it. But next on the list, Film Explorer. Did they already hit you up, Ben, or did we ask what's your favorite film?
No, not yet.
Okay, yeah. What's your favorite Nolan film, man?
My Nolan film is Interstellar. I just love that film, and that's basically my dream job. It's what I'm studying right now, and that's why that movie specifically means a lot to me. Interstellar, it just blows my mind about what space and all that aspect has to do with movie related.
Yeah, no, it's a great one, man. 2014, I want to say.
Yeah.
Talk about cinematic experiences, man. One of my favorites of all time. Fantastic film. And Joe, man, on this the 9 films that we've gotten from Mr. Nolan so far, what's your favorite, my friend?
So I agree with having to rewatch The Prestige. I think I've only seen that once, and I don't remember it, so I don't know what was going on there. Mm-hmm. So I need to rewatch that. But outside of Prestige, I would say Inception is one of my absolute favorites from him. I love this movie. Every time I watch it, I feel like I find something different or something new. Like this whole scene right now, which is really pivotal, is hitting me in a different way than it has in the past. Probably because I'm reading the text as well.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're seeing this man trying to talk his wife off the ledge of killing herself, and it's, using the kids, and she doesn't know what's real or what's fake, and she thinks by doing this she's going to get out of limbo. So, but yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
No, you're fine. And I will just point out that something I caught earlier that I hadn't really paid attention to before is when Ellen Page was stabbed and she popped up and woke up from the dream. Mm-hmm. Just thinking about that in the context of you didn't just see the body of Mal when she jumped down and, whatever. I don't know. So clearly what Big J said earlier has me thinking a lot. And but I do think The Dark Knight as well is one of the best superhero movies it's ever done, basically for what was said earlier about how it's not really a superhero movie in the end. It gets back to that crime thriller. And it's really cool.
Yeah. As we can see here, I mean, from The Prestige, and also one of the ones that kind of, just playing some devil's advocate or some honorable mentions. I know people don't like Dunkirk as much, but I think that's his, besides the film, my number one film that I'm going to mention in a bit, but I think Dunkirk is just an incredibly crafted movie. Obviously, there's not a lot of characteristics, not a lot of dialogue, but it's kind of in a weird way Mad Max Fury Road for me, where the narrative is you're watching the action, we're watching the motion of the story move with our characters. I think it's the same thing for me with Dunkirk, and I just think that film is just so well made. But Insomnia, we talked about it earlier. I think that kind of showed you, the capabilities of him as a director, and I love how, RIP to Robin Williams, man. That was such an interesting character to him to play. I think that was before the 1 Hour Photo when we first saw him, or was 1 Hour Photo before Insomnia when we first kind of saw him playing a villain. Can't really remember, but I thought Robin Williams was fantastic, as well as Al Pacino. But yeah, my number one film is same with Film Explorer is Interstellar. It's one of my favorite films I saw at the theater. Just the cinematic experience, and just being lost in space and the conversations had there. And one of my favorite scores of all time is Hans Zimmer's Stay. I love that score of that film. I think it's one of my favorite scores of all time. And that film just gets me on an emotional level every time. Matthew McConaughey sees his daughter, Murph, and they have that scene when he's on the plane, on the spaceship, and sees their life, as they get older. And then the scene at the end when she's, just as old as, when he left Earth, it just gets me every time. I love Interstellar. It's my favorite Nolan film, and one of my favorite films of all time, for being honest. I love Interstellar. So a lot of great films from Mr. Nolan here. And hopefully film number 10 with Tenet will be another one to put on the list. So let's see here. See if people got some stuff in the chat. Dark Knight Forever. That was the first big film in the theater. 4th grade. Simpler Times. Definitely Simpler Times. Yeah, Dark Knight was 2008, which seems today's his 12th year anniversary. Hi guys. Hey, what's going on? Welcome. Next time, join up with Pay Your Weight. Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of Sharonda of Pay Your Weight. Definitely have to collaborate with her in the future because I love her content. So yeah, awesome.
Yeah, just to go on Interstellar, that's one of the movies that I think he's more worried about showing his technical, like how good he is on everything, than just focusing on the characters. And that's my issue with it. Everything is so. There are certain movies I have issues when people are trying to show how smart they are or how good they are, but it doesn't really fit with the story. I don't know if I can I have some issues with that sometimes with Wes Anderson. Some of his movies are like amazing, and I really love them. Some of them is like the dialogue, everything is like, oh, look at me, look how good I am. And I have issues with that. And Interstellar at some points is just so goddamn perfect on everything that you just feel like you're watching a science documentary or something like that. And it just kind of takes me down for when we have the son, the daughter, and I'm a sucker for daughter and father things. I bet. Like I see Southpaw, like the boxing movie, and I cry every time. Like if there's a daughter and a father, I'm crying. And that one, because I was so into look at a black hole, and this is how a black hole is, and this and that. And I just got, when we got to the emotional parts, I was just turned off. And I think that's my issue with Interstellar. But I can still see that it's a really good movie, but it just doesn't connect with me emotionally. And that's my issue with movies. When they don't connect emotionally, I start not enjoying them as much.
No, and it's funny you say that, because I I know you preach a lot about is Ad Astra. I feel that exact same way about Ad Astra.
Yeah,
it is a beautiful craft. Like, it's one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. And Hoyt, I can't think of the cinematographer who's going to be doing the Batman movie with Matt Reeves. I'm really excited to see his eye and vision in the Batman world. But everything you just said about Interstellar is how I feel about Ad Astra. Like, I did not feel any connection between Brad Pitt and Tommy Lee Jones, especially the gap of time of not seeing them on screen together, or having a flashback of when he was a kid and how their friction in the relationship, where I feel like Interstellar gave us that. We saw a young Murph and saw Matthew McConaughey, their relationship on Earth. And like you said, I'm a sucker for like father and daughter relationships as well. Even though I don't have a daughter, I just find those relationships so interesting. But it's like you said, it's that's the beauty of film, though. Is, we all connect to certain things, or maybe not to other things. So yes, that's the whole beauty of it. But two great films, though, Ad Astra and Interstellar. That's a great double feature, especially if you're a big fan of space, like Film Explorer. Going to school for that stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, there's some movies you can see they're good, but you just like, for some reason you don't like them. One for me that everyone gets mad at me because I just didn't like it, and it's Hereditary. Like, the thing is, horror for me needs to be, I need to connect with it. I need to believe it. Like, for example, for me, biggest horror movie ever is Jaws, because I'm petrified of sharks. I don't go in the ocean at night, or if it's dark, I will not get in the water. So, like, when I see Jaws, I like, and that last scene when we have a headless body flying, it was just, for me, I was like, oh, come on, now just stop it now. And the thing is, I can see it's an amazing movie, really well built. Like, the performances are amazing, everything, but it just gets me off of the experience, and I just can't enjoy it. So it doesn't mean that it's not good, or it's just not for me. And I think that's, like you said, that's the great thing about movies, is that sometimes there's movies that everyone hates that I like. Other times everyone loves it and just doesn't connect. So.
Well said, man. Well said. We're now slowly approaching one of the more we were talking about earlier, just the practicality of Christopher Nolan and building sets. We're going to get one of these more incredible sets of Joseph Gordon-Levitt on that 365 set there is coming up pretty soon. I love these little slow motion shots too. Going through their
they stole that from High School Musical. Okay. And
I've been seeing that all week.
That's a fact. High School Musical. Nolan is a big fan of High School Musical.
Yeah, he Stanley Kubrick, The Shining, The Matrix were all influences, but I think High School Musical was definitely
that's what Nolan should do next. High School Musical 4.
I would watch
You're
that.
on that, man. Yes, that would be a cinematic masterpiece, no doubt. That is something too. I'm just so interested to see, again, kind of the Tarantinos of the world. Like, what's the next genre? What's the next film? And Nolan so far with the sci-fi, space, dreams. And we'll see what Tenet becomes of. But I would love to see him tackle a musical, or a straight up horror film,
rom-com.
Yeah, rom-com. Like, what is that? Like Christopher Nolan.
Lifetime movie of the week.
There you go.
Maybe like a Hallmark holiday movie.
That would blow the doors off the water. Just made that up. But yeah, that would be fantastic to see what he tackles next.
Could you imagine that Hallmark film? Like at the end of it would be like, their love lasted forever, or did it ever really exist?
Right. What is love?
200 million budget.
Yeah.
And a Hans Zimmer score.
Right. Mr. Nolan, man, that's funny. Cillian Murphy, man, he's such a good underrated actor. And I always think of the craftsmanship of I think he's an Englishman, and like he always just plays. He's not a leading man, even though I know he's on the show Peaky Blinders, I believe, which I heard is like phenomenal. Yeah, I heard he's like phenomenal in that. But I love when he comes in movies, man, whether it be this film or Red Eye with Wes Craven's Red Eye, or he's going to be in Quiet Place too. I think he's such a great actor. But I have to get on Peaky Blinders. I heard that show is fantastic.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's really cool too. Like I think somebody brought this up earlier about how Nolan now kind of has his troupe of actors that he continuously works with, kind of a la the Wes Anderson does similar things, but bringing in people like Cillian Murphy and like so many others. Like there's been some DiCaprio this was the first one, but many of them, like he continuously works with them.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah. Which, I mean, to that point, I was going to leave this a little bit later, but hell, since we're kind of in the point of like reoccurring characters, which kind of leads into my next question with the, as I call it, the Nolan Cinematic Universe, the NCU. I think the big question that we all might want to know, and I would love this conversation, is Tenet. Is it a sequel to Inception? Again, I would love to know, everyone on the panel, if it is, if it isn't, if you think it is, what are some Easter eggs or some things that may point to it, if you believe the theories out there. But, starting with Big J, man, I'm just kind of curious on just your thought of this. I don't know if you dove into the rabbit hole as I have with this concept, but just kind of your thoughts on if you think this is a possibility.
Okay, so going into the personality of the director, if this was before Split, I would probably think it could be, because what Split did of putting that sequel that no one knew there was an unbreakable sequel, Nolan doesn't like to imitate. He likes to be the first one. So I don't know if you would go into that, because it was done before by Night Shyamalan. Like I don't think he would do that. I think he wants to do original things. I think he has the same kind of like subject matter, but all of his movies kind of have. It's time. Interstellar added, Memento added, even Prestige in some way. So it's always about time, and how time. Even Dunkirk, how he did it with having time running in different speeds. On the ground, on the air, on the boats, so he always goes into that. So it might seem similar looking at the trailers, like the reverse thing. So it might seem similar to some things we see in Inception, but honestly, I don't think it is. I don't think it would be that kind of movie that he wanted to make now. He wants to make original movies. I don't think he would make a sequel like this. But that's my thoughts. Like I don't know. It could be, but I think he wouldn't. If he was the first one making a sequel of a movie that no one was expecting, and we all like, oh my god, what's this? Probably. Right. But now I don't know.
All right, so we got one that is not a sequel, and I will, Sean, what's your thoughts, man? Just kind of seeing this film connected to the trailers of Tenet. Is there a possibility that these are in the same universe? I mean,
it's possible, but I haven't done as much research on it. So it's just kind of on my gut feeling, like I think it could be, but in my heart of hearts, I hope that it isn't, because like Jay said, I hope that he continues with just creating great original films. And if it ends up being where a character from this film just makes like a brief walkthrough appearance at the end of Tenet, then that'd be like, oh, cool. But I just hope he just keeps really doing great stuff that is kind of on the same lines, but doesn't have to be a direct sequel. So I'm gonna go with no as well.
All right. Mr. CertainVids, man, would love your thoughts on this. With Nolan being your favorite director, man, would you like to see him quietly make Tenet a sequel to Inception?
Yes, I would. I would love to see that. I think it's unlikely, if I'm being honest, but if it does happen, it'd be awesome. I would love to see it. I wouldn't exactly want like a full-blown sequel, nor would I want it to be like a Unbreakable and Split thing where it leads into like a third movie with Glass, because I didn't like Glass, and I don't want there to be like a third movie in this universe. The possibility of them being connected, though, I'm all for it. And I think I've noticed like a bit of a pattern with like every 10 years, Nolan seems to come out with like a movie that kind of changes something crucial. So like Memento came out 2000, and that was like a different way of playing a film out. And then 2010 was obviously Inception, and now 10 years later he was supposed to do Tenet, and these two seem very similar. So I was thinking maybe there's some sort of hint there, but no, I would love for them to be connected, and I think there's a very small chance. I'm leaning towards no, but I would love it.
Yeah, Film Explorer, your thoughts on this connective universe, the NCU with Christopher Nolan and Inception and Tenet?
So I will say no, but like all of you guys have mentioned, there have been some clues maybe. Like there was a report that Nolan was working in 20 years on Tenet and 10 years on Inception, which makes it back in 2000. He was working on both films at the same time. But honestly, I wish it don't, because I don't feel Inception needs like a sequel. And having a director or the actor that comes to mind, Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington doesn't do sequels, only The Equalizer. But the second film doesn't feel like a direct sequel from the first. So I wish it doesn't come like together.
All right. Big, a lot of no's so far. Joe, man, what's your thoughts, man? Are you kind of in the same camp of it not being a sequel, or is there some hope, or not hope, but just maybe some connective tissue there?
So I think there's some connected tissue there. My theory on who's going to make that connection is Michael Caine. I think his character in Inception is very underutilized, and I think that because he's appearing in Tenet as well, we might see him be some connective tissue.
Yeah, no, that's kind of where I was. So at first I'm like, there's no way. Again, like you guys have said, Christopher Nolan likes original IPs. The only time he's done sequels were the Batman trilogies. But within this conversation, I'm just thinking of Christopher Nolan, right? He's an unorthodox type of film director, filmmaker. CertainVids just mentioned the whole 10-year gap, and maybe the importance of having this come out 10 years after Inception. The fonts of the trailers and the designs of the posters are very reminiscent of Inception. And kind of my biggest things that I've seen online and kind of put my own spin to the theories is, you just brought it up, Joe, the connection of Michael Caine. But in particularly him being the grandkids, or the grandfather of the two kids that we don't see, Penelope, and I can't think of the son's name, but the idea that could be however many years from now in this universe, this futuristic universe of Inception and the world that he's building, that those are one of the kids, the son is maybe Robert Pattinson's character with the kind of the blonde hair. And then his daughter is maybe the same scientist or whoever she is. And in Tenet, where we see John David Washington with the gun, that's his younger daughter, that may play a connection there. Because none of these characters have, if you look at the IMDb, none of them have character names. None of them are labeled. We don't know their names. And like Big J was talking about him maybe having the film play in international versus the US, he doesn't want the film to be shown internationally because word will get out that is connected to Tenet, or, connected, the connective tissue there. So I think, and that's someone else I mentioned earlier too, Big J, I think it was you, like them saving Cobb, Extraction, them saving someone to get them out of their dream. We see in the Tenet trailer John Washington and Robert Pattinson kind of climbing on a building. It looks like they're trying to do their own heist. And what's the director's name? Kenneth Branagh may have somehow gotten Inception because of the whole thing of like time, manipulating time. He may have somehow been able to weaponize Inception and use it as a way of reversing time and fast forward into the future. And they're trying to go back to Inception to get Cobb and try to help them figure out this nuclear holocaust. So I don't know, man. The more and more I'm reading these theories and thinking about it, that would be incredible if these are connected. And I think of what he did with Interstellar, one of my favorite films, like I said, of all time. No one knew that Matt Damon was in the film. He was not in the IMDb page. He wasn't on nothing leaked about that. So I think, Leo and the budget of this film being $205 million, obviously we talked about the plane, we talk about the practical effects, but I think a lot of that budget might be due to the fact that he's bringing in a Leo, bringing in a Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who's also making a comeback in films. It's always interesting when you see celebrities kind of come back into the forefront with 7500 Project Power, and potentially making a cameo in Tenet. So I don't know, guys. I am on that bandwagon that I think that these films are somehow connected. And again, I think Robert Pattinson and his sister may be that doctor, and Robert Pattinson is, the adult version of the kids in this film. So
the thing is, when I went to see Star Wars in the IMAX, I was able to watch, I think it was 12 minutes of Tenet. They did like a special viewing, and it was like this. There was like these terrorists in a opera or something, and the thing is, like, it does feel like the same kind of thing that we saw here in Inception. There's some bombs that are blowing up in reverse, and it kind of looks like this dream kind of thing. So it wouldn't surprise me, but I think it would be a bad move for him because, like you said before, it's 10 years after, and we're still talking about Inception. And he risks on ruining that for me, because if he does the wrong move, he kind of can ruin a little bit what this movie is all about. Because if we get answers, and the answers are not the answers that kind of fits the narrative we have here, it could even hurt this movie and the viewing of this movie. So for him, I just don't see why he would do it. That's my main thing. It's not that it couldn't be possible, because there's a lot you can do with this story. Yeah. But for him, I just don't see the reason why he would do something like that, because he has so many stories that he wants to tell. Like every interview you talk with him, he has like stories that he's been working 10, 20 years. And why do that? But the thing is, he goes against ego again. He can be something like he says, look, Inception, you still talk 10 years about it. Yeah. Look at this cool sequel. So it could work both ways. But I honestly hope in a way that it's not, because I don't know if he can do a better job than he did here, to be honest.
I mean, to play devil's advocate, I love your points, and Film Explorer brought it up too. That he was working on Tenet before he was working on Inception, and again, just the ego factor, the surprise factor, the idea that we're so used to Christopher Nolan coming up with original ideas. I think that he plays against the grain so much that it would just be a shock to the system in regards to us just being completely caught off guard by this idea. So I wouldn't be disappointed if it wasn't connected, but if there is some connective tissue, you brought up again, Big J, maybe not wanting that, but just again, playing devil's advocate, if this is one of the most incredible sequels we've, just the other side of it, right? If he were to ruin Inception, what if it just enhances Inception? It makes it even better and a great sequel to a great film. It's just so many possibilities, but we would have, I hate to, beat a dead horse. We would have found out yesterday because Tenet was supposed to come out yesterday, which is unfortunate, but we don't know what the possibilities would have been. And like I said, August 12th is the slated date of Tenet, but I think we can all agree that that chance of that film coming out in 4 weeks is probably slim to none, but hey, it's a good conversation. What were you saying?
No, I'm just saying, and this is to go to my point that I started, and it's because of people like us that he wants to release it as soon as possible, because we're going to be talking about it for the next months. And when the movie comes out, every like possible theory, we already talked about it. So that's why he wants to release it as fast as possible.
So quickly,
Because we will all be like, when the movie comes out, we'll be like, oh, theory number 165, right. I got it right. So that's the thing, like, that's his worries.
Yeah, but the studio is approaching it from a different perspective, where they're like, yeah, keep talking about it. Keep building up that suspense. It's free marketing.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, whether good press, bad press, as they say in Hollywood, any press is, something to be talked about, really. So yeah, it's a film we've been talking about for a very long time. And again, it goes back to the conversation we had about Nolan, man. He's like the only, honestly, there's so many directors I respect in Hollywood, but I think he is the only director that you can put on the marquee and he sells the film more so than his actors.
Yeah,
even the story, like his name sells the movie, which again, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's any, even Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese, Steven Spielberg, I mean, Jordan Peele, all these.
Jordan Peele, I would say Jordan Peele, because I think like
he's even if you 2 films in,
even if you don't know what the movie is about, and like just knowing, like, for example, when what was the show, like the Twilight Zone, the Twilight Zone was sold just on his name, like everyone was excited because it was his name. That was like, even Candyman is a little bit like, everyone's like, oh, from Jordan Peele. So I think Jordan Peele is probably like the only one, but we're talking on different levels, like Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele does smaller movies, so talking on different levels, Jordan Peele is probably the one that the name is almost as important as everyone else.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And yeah, like, because again, I think of Dunkirk. I think of 1917, in regards to a war film doing, winning Oscars versus Dunkirk. I don't think there's been a war film. I think it's the most highest grossing war film of all time, if I'm not mistaken, just because of the Christopher Nolan's name. So Interstellar, $700 million. This movie is his highest grossing film outside of Batman, $800+ million for an original idea like this. So yeah, he's Warner Brothers golden boy for sure.
That's why he can do whatever he wants, and like they'll still, even if the movie like Tenet flops, they still don't want to lose him, because they know he's creating things like no one else is.
Yeah, no doubt. And this is very, again, we were talking about this, just the detail of this film. We're getting the moment now where the rest of this film is just them descending into the ocean. And we're seeing this incredible film now, of this moment with Joseph's character in this 365 of set that they built. But just again, mind blown just seeing this scene for the very first time, and how they captured this is just fantastic.
And just seeing like the 3 stories and how they all are like integrating, because they had like the scene earlier when they were in the snow and just trying to figure out like where they were all at timing wise. Like they knew that they had 2 minutes here, then they have 5 minutes here. That means they have to figure this all out in an hour. Like that's really cool. And it's kind of like what they brought in with Dunkirk about the playing with time and things like that.
No doubt. And this is definitely, we were talking about earlier, the homages to The Matrix, the Heat, The Shining, especially, Joseph's character in that kind of hallway scene in The Shining. But this is definitely an homage to 007, which again, a lot of people would like to see him. Just kind of curious, Big J and around the table, would you like to see him maybe tackle a 007 film, or again, you would like him to stick to his own original IP?
Honestly, no. I think like for me, 007 for me at least works better when the storyline is a little bit simpler. That's why my favorite one is Casino Royale. Yeah. I think when they like start going into like storylines that have, I don't know how many people involved in it, just gets, and I don't see Nolan doing a simple movie. So I don't know if like it would be, I think he would get bored to just do a simple James Bond. So we would try and put some twists in it, and I don't think that's what James Bond needs right now. So I would prefer someone else to do it than him.
For sure. Sean, any fandom or any excitement level if he were to be announced as the first, this new branching away from Daniel Craig and Christopher Nolan's coming in to direct, whoever the next Bond is? Would that
I mean,
excite
I think it would be interesting, but one thing about Bond is it's about Bond, and it's not about the style of director and whether or not Nolan could get out of his own way to have it be about Bond and not about his stylistic. But going back to him doing IP and not doing it since Batman, it's kind of like the old argument about how Tarantino might do a Star Trek film. It's like, it sounds interesting, but is that something that I actually want to see?
Right.
So if it was announced that Nolan would do a Bond film, cool. I'd be interested to see what that looks like, but I really wouldn't want to see it.
Tarantino Star Trek, I'm all in. Like, that would be, if I can pick one project to go ahead, that's the one. I can just imagine them all swearing and the blood in space. Like, that would be so cool.
The Star Trek fans aren't as loud as Star Wars, but if Tarantino were direct, as you just said, and kind of do his Tarantino-isms in a Star Trek world, we would hear them loud and clear. They would be pissed to see them take everything that they love about Star Trek and put the Tarantino spin. It's unfortunate that film, I don't think, will be made now. I think it's been kind of put on the back burner, and I think Star Trek is in a weird space overall in the film world. But yeah, that would be pretty crazy. But Film Explorer, I know this is your Nolan. We talked about it. It's one of your favorites, but would you ever want him to tackle maybe a one-off? It's just like one and done. I know Idris Elba was someone's name that was brought up, and a lot of people say he's a little bit on the older side. I don't think he can carry the Bond franchise for 10, 15 years at his age, but maybe you get a one-off Bond and Idris Elba directed by Christopher Nolan. Would that be something that interests you?
Honestly, it depends, because James Bond is a series of 20 plus films and $7 billion in the box office. So it's like, it honestly depends on which direction they decide to go. Because like we talked about before here in Inception, his action is good action, but it's not like memorable action. So it honestly depends for me.
No, for sure, man. Same with you, CertainVids. Again, just trying to play devil's advocate or play, green pitcher, a producer, elevator pitch. You get Nolan one off. It takes place in the 50s and the 60s. It's like an old Bond, and the way you kind of bring it into the new era is, whoever that Bond is in that film is maybe a mentor for the next Bond, for the next set of trilogies that they try to do. Would that be something that interests you?
Yeah. I don't know if I'd want to see a Nolan Bond film because, it would be a little too simple for him. I think it wouldn't exactly fit his mold. Yeah. But he is into espionage type stuff, so I wouldn't be opposed to it if it does happen. But like, would I want it to happen? Probably not. If I'm being honest, I want him to stick to like sci-fi and like crazy, mind-bending, reality-changing type of events. Yeah. Not just like a simple like spy story. So
for sure,
that's kind of where I'm at.
No, for sure. And I think, just like a lot of the actors that have been mentioned in the past, whether it be Idris Elba or other characters, I think
that be Tom Hardy. If he makes it, it's going to be Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, yes, for sure. Or Michael Caine. Michael Caine. But yeah, no, I think that window of him, it would have been probably in this Inception Interstellar timeline, but I think now he's too far gone and like he just wants to focus on his projects versus maybe coming off of Batman. Maybe he would have went to another big studio, but again, we've all talked about Warner Brothers. They have him locked down. So MGM, I don't think they have a chance at having even a conversation with him with his relationship with Warner Brothers. But again, like I said, this whole scene reminds me of a Bond film. I think I can't think of it was like a 60s Bond film with the whole snow area. So definitely, he pays homage to those classic films. Yeah, I definitely prefer Marion's performance in this film more so. We were talking about Dark Knight Rises. I still think of that, the scene where she dies at the end of spoiler alert for Dark Knight Rises, but when she's in the car and when she died, I don't know, that performance as Natalia Ra's al Ghul's daughter, I wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah, the whole character. I wasn't a big fan of the whole character there.
Yeah.
I think she's a good actress.
Phenomenal. What was that?
Yeah. No, I think before we knew that she was who she was, I think it was fine. But then once we got the big reveal, it kind of got off the rails there.
Mm. Did any of you guys, Ellen Page? I know she kind of was kind of in the Joseph Gordon-Levitt's position where she, popped for a while. This film, Judo, some other movies, but she kind of went off the, out of the limelight. And I'm just starting to now watch Umbrella Academy, and it's cool seeing her in that show. But are you guys big fans of Mrs. Ellen Page?
Yeah, I like her in Juno. I think she's great in Juno. But I don't know. I can really think of a lot of movies that she kind of blew me away. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt's another. That's a different thing. I think he's an amazing actor, and when he's in the right movie, like for example Looper, I think he's great. But I think it's all like some of these actors sometimes start focusing on other things. Like, for example, Joseph Gordon-Levitt has like this app that's all about collaboration. I don't know if you guys ever use it.
Yeah, I've seen it on Facebook all the time.
Yeah, so he's kind of focusing on that, and he's making a few less things.
Yeah.
But in her case, I think there was some problems that she came out after because of the Me Too movement. I think
X-Men.
When she kind of came out as being gay, she like kind of lost a lot of opportunities in some jobs and stuff. So that was a little bit different. But I don't know. I don't know if she's also wanting to come back and being on the spotlight that much, because there's a lot of actors that they okay with doing movies, but like I was reading the other day, like Chris Evans, before he did Captain America, he was like really worried about being in the spotlight a lot. And he almost didn't took it because of that. So for some actors, they just want to do a job or two once every couple of years. Because the thing is, let's be honest, what they make in a movie, they can live on for a lot of years normally without having to worry. So that's the thing. They come into a movie, make a movie, and then they can go back to their life. So it's fine.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think, like you said, I think Joseph's thing was just having some other creative outlets versus films. And I think he also was just starting to have a family. So I think he wanted to focus on his son for a while. But Ellen Page, I think, like you had said, I think once the Brett Ratner stuff came out just around the Me Too movement, she probably, wanted to focus more on herself and, as a person and all that good stuff. And like I said, I don't know if you guys watch Umbrella Academy, but she's really fantastic in that show.
Yeah, I love that show. It's
I just started watching it recently. So I'm really liking her character in the
second season is coming out this month, isn't it?
Yeah. I actually have a screener for it. I just haven't watched it yet because I haven't seen the first season yet. So I got to kind of catch up before the new season comes out. But yeah, she's great. I like Ellen Page. Like I said, Juno was really her standout role and kind of put her on the map, and obviously Michael Cera. So
yeah, and even before Juno, I don't know if any of you guys have seen Hard Candy.
Yeah, with boy Patrick Wilson, man. Yeah,
I love Hard Candy.
That's a great film.
Yeah,
it's so good. And the other one that I really love of her, I can't remember the name. Whip It. Have you guys seen Whip It?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the rollerblading movie.
Yeah, that's a really good movie. Yep. It's directed by Drew Barrymore, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, some good films. I always love seeing scenes like this, big cities, when they kind of have productions and they got to clear out the area. I just think that the set designs, again, on this film in particular, but all his films are just such on a grand scale. Yeah, you do not want to be stuck in limbo.
No, just them figuring out like what to do and where to go, and it's still slowly, very slowly starting to all kind of come together.
Right. Yeah, this score too by Hans Zimmer. A little bit I can hear of it. Again, he's one of the best, if not the best. Him and John Williams come to mind, obviously, as composers. But yeah, Hans Zimmer scoring this is fantastic. Excuse me, it's fantastic. I can't remember. Is Hans Zimmer? Is he doing the score to Dune, Big J, or is that no? It's that Lunka, right? Ludwig.
Yeah, it's the one that did
Mandalorian.
Hans Zimmer chose Dune over Tenet.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I don't know. Let me look for it.
I believe Hans Zimmer is doing the one for No Time to Die, correct?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I can't remember if I think I can't think of the kid's name. I think it's Ludwig Guala something. The guy that did the Mandalorian, Black Panther. I think he's doing Tenet, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it's Hans Zimmer that's doing Dune.
Dune.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And then he's doing okay, gotcha.
And Tenet, it's by Ludwig.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was getting. Yeah, so he's doing Christopher Nolan's film versus Hans Zimmer.
But Dune is now looking like it's gonna be. Everyone is working on that movie. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that cast is incredible, and
cinematography, like you just got the best out of everywhere. That movie I think it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, right. That's my most anticipated film of this year. But like you said, I don't think it's coming out this year.
Have you seen the original?
When I was little, I know it's on HBO Max. I actually planned on watching it recently, but it's been so long. It was at David Lynch, right?
Yeah.
It's been forever. I remember seeing it as a kid and just thinking like I didn't know what was going on. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like a Flash Gordon a little bit when I was younger and seeing that. But I'll have to revisit it. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fans of that because I don't think it went too much into the lore of the books, which I hear Denis is going more into the books route of it. But I have to revisit that film because, like I said, I know it's on HBO Max.
Yeah, the movie has a lot of flaws, but it's just the concept wise, like there's so much there to do. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Star Wars meets Game of Thrones, meets Blade Runner. I'm just really looking forward to this. Like I said, my most anticipated film, and Christopher Nolan is definitely my top tier director, but my favorite director is Denis Villeneuve. I think he is just an incredible director. He's a little bit more grittier to me. His films are more grittier than Christopher Nolan's films, like Sicario and Prisoners. I just think those films are just so raw and gritty.
Yeah, if we're going to like just looking at the movies that I love, I don't think there's any movie of Denis Villeneuve that I don't like. I think they're all brilliant. That's the thing. For example, with Nolan, I have one or two that I'm like, okay, yeah, they're good, but it's not my thing. With Denis Villeneuve, it's like every movie is just incredible.
Have you guys seen Arrival?
Yeah,
Arrival. I love Arrival, man.
But that's one movie that I think if it was any other director, it would not work.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very hard movie to do. Like I think we would be very, very bored if he was any other director. He has this act of even when nothing is going on, you just like go to the screen. Just think it's like incredible.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think my favorite out of his filmography is Blade Runner, and it's crazy too because I'm not a Blade Runner fan. Like I don't really like the original Blade Runner, but I love 2049. It's like one of my favorites of all time. I love that movie.
Yeah. For me, it's Prisoners. Prisoners is just like there's just like it's just perfect. I think it's almost a perfect movie, and Hugh Jackman on that, and it's incredible.
And of course, that's someone I would love to see Christopher Nolan team up with in the future. Is him and Jake Gyllenhaal making a film? I think that would be a good collaboration.
Because one of his that doesn't get talked about enough is Enemy, because that was really a really good film too.
Mind bending film. Yeah, just Denis is the man. I love him.
There it is.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, this movie supposedly is about them getting inside the heads of like the other guy. But everything we see is based on the memories of Leo.
Of Cobb, yeah,
and that's why it makes me think that this has been his like world since the beginning.
No, that's why, and then we'll talk about it at our last kind of discussion about the dream versus reality conversation. But yeah, this film is everything does center around Cobb in regards to his perspective, his point of view, and the characters, the way they, like you mentioned, the stuff they're saying to him. Just it's a great movie, and just performance wise too. Lee, we were talking about, different performances, Marion, performance, Tom Hardy, but I think Leo does a really good job in this film. To me, Leo, I wasn't always the biggest fan of him when he was younger, obviously eating Gilbert Grape and Titanic and all this stuff and the beach. But to me, it's like when he did The Departed for me with Martin Scorsese, that's when I started to take him as like a high, really caliber actor. But just kind of curious, starting with Big J, man, just kind of your thoughts on Leo's performance in this film and just his filmography. Are you a big Leo fan?
Like, I'm a huge Leo fan. I think he's like one of the best actors to ever be on screen, period. I think he's like, and that like takes in account everything. It was very easy for him after he did the Titanic to just keep on doing those roles over and over and over and over again. And I think he really like loves pushing himself. And I can name, I don't know how many movies that is just amazing. Like he's an incredible actor, and I'm a fan since the beginning because like Basketball Diaries is unbelievable. What's he doing? Gilbert Grape, the one with Robert De Niro, what's it called? The old one with Robert De Niro that he plays like his stepdad, Marvin's Room. Like it was like a huge influence on me since the beginning, and he's only getting better. I think that's the thing. He could start doing easier roles, but he always goes for the challenge. And for me, like funny enough, like when he finally wins the Oscar, it's probably one of the movies I like the least.
Yeah, same here.
Because it was, but for me that was the screen of like, what the hell do I have to do to win an Oscar? Like I'm gonna do one role that it's for sure I'm gonna win an Oscar. I'm gonna go into the wild. I'm gonna eat like a liver. But for me it was just like, for example, in The Wolf of Wall Street. For me, I would have given in that. I think he makes that role look really easy. But I think if we think about it, that role could easily go completely ridiculous and stupid. And he makes it like you with it like since the beginning. So yeah, I'm a huge Leo fan.
Yeah, he's great. And speaking of Leo, and I was talking about earlier, another collaboration with him and Christopher Nolan. The whole rumors of he was supposed to maybe play the Riddler in the third Dark Knight or the Christopher Nolan films, which would have been really, really interesting to see. But hopefully they'll team up again in the future. But yeah, Sean, what's your thoughts on Leo's performance in this film? And do you have like a certain performance of his as one of your favorites?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think that with him, I think Titanic is definitely where he came from, like teen heartthrob to really great actor. And I think the first film for me that really did it for him was Gangs of New York. Really? I think starting from Gangs of New York and Catch Me If You Can and The Aviator, like from there, that's when we saw like how great of an actor he could be and how much depth and range he could have. And then it became things like The Departed and Shutter Island and Blood Diamond and this and Revolutionary Road and things like that. So I think for me, like for a performance of his that I like the most, and it's a smaller role but it's still a great role, is Django Unchained. Like his role, like he gives his all, including his own blood in that role. So I think for him, that is probably my favorite individual role of his. But he's one of those actors, like, we were talking about how if it has Nolan on the posters, you're probably going to go and see it. With DiCaprio, it's if it's DiCaprio on the poster, you're probably going to go and see his film.
Yeah, that's true. He's a megastar. Yeah, Joe, same with you, man, in regards to, maybe the nuance in this performance, maybe not the most well talked about performance of his, but, just in this movie, but also just, do you have a particular performance from Leo that really stands out to you?
Yeah, he's someone that I've always just kind of, I agree when he's in the movie, I'm definitely going to see it. But I've never been his biggest fan. That's not to say I don't think he's good. He's just, it's never kind of taken off for me the way that a lot of other people view him. I did like The Revenant a lot. I was excited and happy to see him win that role. Win the award for that role. But he did this movie years ago. I think it was like 95 or 96 called The Beach.
Beach, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but that was like my guilty pleasure all the time. I would watch that often, and I enjoyed it. So, but I think that's the thing with him is like you've seen him grow through his roles, and that's pretty cool to see.
No doubt. I think, like Big J said, the future is bright for him. He's getting in the age now where he's going to probably be seeking out. I think he's very particular about the roles he picks because you've all have said he could have went in one direction, right? He could have just been the heartthrob. He could have been the leading man per se, but he, went against the grain a little bit, and you see him working with incredible actors, whether it be James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, or Martin Scorsese, or Christopher Nolan, Quentin Tarantino. I mean, he's worked with them all. So I mean, he picks and chooses his projects pretty well. But Film Explorer, your thoughts on his performance in this film, and just like your favorite performance by Mr. DiCaprio.
DiCaprio is an excellent actor. He's practically one of the top in this industry right now. Where I really get to meet him was in Shutter Island, and that was where he defined his role for me. And then, like Sean said, The Django Unchained, which is my favorite Quentin Tarantino film, that scene where he cuts his hand accidentally, it's just he keeps that professionalism, and he knows that whatever happens, he has to stay in character. And that's something like makes the Heath Ledger Joker scene in the hospital so iconic. Like, it malfunctioned, and then he kept playing the part, and it ended up being an amazing part of the movie.
That Django Calvin Candy, man, I love that character, and this is my favorite Quentin Tarantino movie as well. And I don't want to say I love the character, I love to hate the character, but I love his performance in that character. But yeah, CertainVids, man, same with you, man. Just your thoughts on Leo in this film, and just kind of your favorite Leo performance of this filmography.
Yeah, I was never big on Leo in the earlier years. I remember that one Romeo and Juliet film he was in, and I thought that was incredibly weird. So
definitely was it Bond's Lerman?
The guy from Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge, yeah. Very interesting take on that film. But yeah, go ahead. What were you saying, CertainVids?
Yeah, and I think he's great in this film, and Shutter Island was also another one that I thought he was a bit of a standout. And then obviously Django Unchained, he was spectacular. So Revenant, I also enjoyed. I didn't think he necessarily, there were so many other roles that he deserved an Oscar for that I think The Revenant, it was kind of not as deserved in my opinion, but no, he's a fantastic actor. Definitely one of the top actors working today. And he might be in my top 10. He probably is in my top 10. Really, really like him.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were saying too with The Revenant in 2015 that it might have been one of those situations where it was appreciation award. Like, we know we should have given you an award years ago, but we're going to give you, kind of a lifetime award for, a performance that, again, for some people were fantastic. I think the performance was great, no doubt, but maybe the film for some people didn't work as well. But yeah, I think he's one of the best working today. I think, I think of him, Adam Driver, and a couple other great guys that are just, at the top of their game right now. And Leo is definitely, I can't wait to see. I don't even know what his next film is lined up after last year with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I think
so. I have his IMDb up.
Yeah, the Scorsese one, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Is that the one with the Apple TV?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Flowers.
Yeah.
And then he's also doing. He's announced for a TV series, which is surprising.
I was really going to say is if I see Leo on TV, that will be very interesting. So that is, I'm really interested to see
Devil
that.
in the White City, which I think is a book adaptation. But then he's also apparently signed on to play Teddy Roosevelt, which would be his second president.
Right.
Yeah, hopefully it's better than his J. Edgar.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, that film didn't really work for me all the way. But yeah, that's exciting. I'm really that show with him, a TV show with him would be fantastic. I think that's an outlet now. We're seeing a lot of movie directors, producers, actors, actresses lending their talents to TV, which I think right now has a lot of great storytelling. It has been for a while, kind of in the golden age of TV. But yeah, I'm really interested to see that next film too with him, and obviously him and Martin Scorsese are just like Pippen or Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson, just great chemistry, and they know each other's strengths and weaknesses. So really looking forward to that film. Was J. Edgar, was that Clint Eastwood, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah. That's Clint Eastwood.
And Clint Eastwood, he's kind of hit or miss for me, but yeah, that film didn't really work for me.
Yeah, there's some that I really love. Others are like J. Edgar Hoover was just not good.
Mm-hmm. And what was that? The film where I appreciate the sentiment with the real soldier or the real guys that were on that Paris, that train movie.
Oh yeah.
Did you like that one?
I didn't like the. No,
I didn't like that one.
Yeah, I appreciate him trying to get the authenticity of the situation, but I thought it was really obvious. Actors.
My favorite of him is still Unforgiven. I think it's a great movie. Such a good movie.
No doubt. No doubt.
Leo also had The Man in the Iron Mask.
That was so bad.
Man.
I enjoyed that.
That was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was, again, we kind of talked about the transition into Hollywood and, getting his name out there, and then obviously kind of going more into those passion projects maybe. But I haven't seen that film in so long. I think that was the film right before The Beach too, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of
it was
spot.
I think The Beach gets a lot of bad rap. I think it's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be.
Agreed.
And I think and Danny Boyle, like, he always makes it feel original. That's the thing with The Beach.
Yeah.
So a knock on Inception is I think this makeup is terrible right here. It looks like a mask like a latex mask that they tried to form into the face.
But it was a dream. He was dreaming on the guy with a mask.
He's dreaming a bad mask.
There you go.
No, but it is really bad.
Yeah, it all goes back to the beginning. Waiting to Die Alone, kind of a roundabout way of going back to the idea of the dream and reality, and them getting him out of his limbo state. But
you're gonna get that phrase again, that you don't want to die an old man who regrets.
Yeah,
and then that's when the movie changes. So I think it kind of synced into him. So it was always about him and being in a dream.
Yeah, and it's again, just the idea of you can create your own reality, whether it is a dream, him being with his family that we're going to see here in a bit, or him continuing to, chase these different projects and these jobs. It's just, we, even now, not to get too philosophical about the situation we're in, we can make our own reality, make our own positives and negatives about the situation we're all witnessing or living in the world. Right. And all the stuff that's going on right now in the world is just, I love that idea.
No, and in here also, one thing that I love in The Matrix, and it kind of brings me to this, is like, if the dream is better than the reality, do you really want to wake up? And I think that's what they go all around in the movie is like, if he can stay in a dream and have his kids and have his wife and have everything, but if he wakes up and it's reality, but the reality sucks because everyone is dead, like, what would you pick? And I love that. Like that's one of the biggest things in The Matrix for me. When we have can't remember the name now, but he also worked with Nolan. It's the guy that betrays them and he's eating the steak and he says like, what's his name?
Joe Pantanello.
Yeah.
So, and that's when he's like eating the steak and he says, I know it's not real, but it tastes real. So why do I care? So in here is a bit that, like, if Leo knows he's in a dream, but his reality is not good, does he want to wake up? So does he know? Does he need when he walks away with his kids? So I like the end of being like that. I think that's my favorite bit.
Yeah, and again, just seeing these final sequences, we as Big J said, this is a reality. Kane's character makes a call, and everything now is resolved. He's been on the run for how many years, but he just makes a phone call, and now he's just okay to come back into the U.S. And I think again it kind of points to my stance on this film is I think that this was all kind of a dream, and he's making his own reality per se. Yeah, a little bit too perfect, all this right now. But I do know an interesting tidbit of kind of behind the scenes of Michael Caine. He had mentioned that kind of a thing that Nolan told him is whenever his character was on screen, that was reality. So that kind of debunks the idea that this was a dream, because whenever Michael Caine's character was on screen with Leo, that this was the actual real world. So, but again, it's all about interpretation.
I also heard, I looked through IMDb to prove it was real. They used two pairs of kids to film different scenes in the movie.
Yeah, because we never see their face when he's in his dream world, because he doesn't want to be kind of trapped in that idea of being trapped in spending time with his kids all the time, like he was with Mel's character. But yeah. So the infamous shot of the spinning totem. I'm telling you guys, if we get a scene like this in Tenet, and Robert Pattinson telling John David Watson's character about his dad, that would just be crazy.
But what I love in this scene is he doesn't care. Like when he sees his kids, he doesn't care.
I love this too. Hold on. We were building a house on the cliff. That line, I don't know if you guys have your subtitles on. That what were you guys doing? We were building a house on the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But he doesn't care. Like he goes to his kids and he doesn't care to see if he falls down or he keeps on spinning. But it doesn't matter. And that's what I like. This is one of my favorite endings on a movie.
Same. Inception. Dun, dun. Yeah. Well. All righty, guys. So there it is. We just watched Inception. This is my first time in, like I said, many, many years rewatching this film. And obviously we were, commentating in the film. Wasn't able to fully dive into it, but just from the conversations we've had throughout the stream, this still holds up for me personally. Kind of, again, roundtable style, starting, kind of with Big J. I think we kind of, again, just your thoughts on dream reality. I think he kind of alluded to it, that this is his reality, but just kind of elaborate on it more, just your stance on if this was a dream or if this was if it was the real world.
Yeah, for me, like, it was a dream since the beginning. He's like it was his way of trying to get him out of like this loop that he was in, because his wife, when she jumps out of the building, she's out, and he got stuck there because he didn't do the leap of faith. And that's why I think we always get certain things repeated, like the leap of faith comes all a lot, and he didn't do it. There's also the you don't want to die an old man, regrets. Yeah. So there's all those things that make me think that this is all about him. The heist and stuff just takes a back step. It's not like as important. If we look into the movie, this is all about Leo's character. It's all about him growing. It's all about him getting back to his kids, and leaving that. But that's what I said in the beginning. How Christopher Nolan decided to end this movie is you just take the movie in your own way. It doesn't matter, and that's what I love there in the ending. Like when he sees his kids, it doesn't matter if it's spinning, if it's falling down. He doesn't care if it's reality, if it's a dream. He just wants to be with the kids. And that's, I think, is the point of it. Is like sometimes you're fighting for your dreams so much and you like chasing them and stuff, and you kind of lose the bigger picture. And I think that's, for me at least, that's what I take out of this movie, that it didn't matter in the end. What matters is like the things he loved, in this case, the kids. So that's, for me, it's like perfect ending.
Yeah, escapism. That's all about this film too. Is just about like how we all relate to movies and films, how they resonate with us. And it's just, again, his creation of this film is just maybe a metaphor about his own life, as we talked about with Christopher Nolan earlier. His facade, his ego. He's always chasing his dreams. So perfection, definitely. So yeah, Sean, same question for you, my friend. Just after kind of rewatching this and commentating through it, but just kind of things you were able to pull for, and just your personal thoughts on the reality versus the dream conversation.
Yeah, this is probably, I think, the third time I've seen this, and not to give a bad answer or anything, but I don't know, and I don't. And going with Jay's point, I don't think it matters.
Exactly.
It's what you take from the film and what could be perceived as reality, and what you want to be perceived as reality. It's you could have 2,000 YouTubers lined up with their 20-minute theory videos about what they think is the right answer. But again, it could be whatever you want it to be. And, I don't, it could be, it might not be, but overall it's just what you get out of the experience. And what I got out of the experience is just a really great, well-crafted movie with an amazing ending that leaves it open to interpretation. But that's what's great about it, is you get to have these great conversations about what you want it to be, and not what exactly it is.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're talking about 10 years later. CertainVids, same question to you, my friend, regarding just your take on the whole dream versus reality aspect of the film, kind of where you sit with it.
Ultimately, I do think it does not matter, but I think I'm leaning towards reality because maybe it's just me, but I saw the top like kind of about to stop spinning, so maybe that's just like you were saying, maybe that's just my perception of it. But I love these type of ambiguous endings. Prisoners, very similar ending. I hope Tenet has a similar ending to this one, and I love ambiguity. So while I don't want an answer, but I do think I think it was real. I thought that the ending it was not a dream. But it's up in the air. It's up in the air. It really is.
Man. You said it perfectly, man. I mean, it's definitely up in the air. We're still talking about it today. As you mentioned, it kind of is spinning and kind of looks like it's going to stop its momentum, but it's just an ending that definitely one of my favorites of all time. But yeah, same with you, Joe. Just kind of your final thoughts on the whole debate about if it was a dream reality, and like you said, what the other people have said on the panel, doesn't really matter, but just kind of curious, just your thoughts on the reality versus dream conversation.
I don't know. I feel like every time I watch it, I have a different thought. I'm going to spend some more time thinking about the focus on Leo's character and Cobb. And I do think that watching it with that in mind does offer a different lens for the entire film. So I lean towards, I think he is still in reality, or still in the dream. But I don't know. And we'll never know. That's the thing, right? Like, and that's what Nolan has said too. Like, he probably doesn't even know the ending. That was probably his whole thing. Like he like Ryan Murphy'd it. He didn't know how he was going to end it. So he just like threw something up there and was like, all right, have fun.
Right. You guys debate about it for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
Film Explorer, man. Yeah. Just your thoughts on this ending, the dream and reality, man.
Well, I do lean towards reality just for the fact that I saw the deleted scenes edition, and at the end the spin stops because they cut.
There you go.
So that's why I do lean towards it. But then Anjolo brought a really strong point on the fact that the whole movie is repetitive, and the fact that Ellen Page's character mentions 10 years, and now we're getting Tenet. So probably, like we have mentioned, the whole film is about Leo's character in the dream. So maybe he got stuck in limbo. He's waking 10 years later. I don't know. But this movie haunted me for so long, so I had to see the extended deleted version. So I made peace with it.
Yeah, I know we talked about it earlier. Big J had mentioned that, or the cut that's coming out, whenever Tenet comes out, it does have deleted scenes. So Again, is it tie into Tenet? Who knows? Does it answer the question that we all wanted to know? I don't know if that does or hurts the film or helps the film at all, but it'll be interesting to see those whatever scenes they want to add to the film and make it a little bit more interesting, maybe.
Well,
but,
and Elliot, real quick, like
yes.
on the point of Inception coming out in theaters, I think that's another key thing as well, right? Like, why re-release Inception? Like, granted, it's 10 years, but all these things are kind of leading towards.
But the thing is, I don't know how it was in the States, but we didn't got just Inception. We got Dunkirk. We got Interstellar. I think it was a lack of having movies to show, and they thought, oh, Tenet is coming. We can sell it on the name of Nolan. I don't know if he was always planned on doing that. I think he was more, there's nothing to show in the cinemas. What can we put there? They're still going to pull people in because we got them all. Like we got first Dunkirk, and then a week later we got Interstellar, and then we're getting Inception, and then we're getting Tenet.
Yeah, I lean towards that as well, that it was not probably something that was completely planned. But I will say in the States especially, I feel like they made a big deal about it.
Very big deal about it. And it, like you just said, Joe, I think it is. They could have did Dark Knight. That could have been the big push. Like, oh, we're going to put Dark Knight, especially like they said in the chat earlier, 12-year anniversary. Or they could have did his first film, Memento, maybe, and have that in the big screen, maybe for the.
What they said here, it was they picked up the movies that were related with time. That's what they said here. It was the movies that were like they kind of sold it as the concept that always in the movies. So that's why they picked Dunkirk. They picked that one, like. But again, I don't know. But was it this was there announcements of Inception coming out in the cinemas before the quarantine, or
not that I remember? I think this literally just came up, literally like a month ago, that was going to be the big thing, that Tenet was Inception was going to come out a week before. There's always like again, like Joe said, I don't know if it was a happy accident or if there were some intentions behind it, but we'll never know, I guess. So for the foreseeable future at least. But wrapping this up, guys, we got some people talking in the chat about some of their favorite Leo performances. Reminds me of the episode of Batman Animated where the Mad Hatter tried to trick himself and trap him in a dream and commit. Just some Batman. I mean, that's a whole other stream within itself. I'm just really excited to see what they do with Batman next. I love the ending and leaves the audience interpretation. Great movie, 100%. I think it's a real world because the spinning top did begin to slowly wobble before the screen cuts to black. Yep. Sean, Godfather 3 was, I saw you guys had some conversations about Godfather 3 being nominated for Best Picture. So, sometimes those films that we might not like gets some nominations, get some love there. But as we wrap up this 10-year anniversary, again, just any final thoughts, where this film stands for you 10 years later, where, again, we talked about our favorite Nolan films. Where do you think this film is going to be in 20 years, maybe, and just is it still going to resonate and stand? So kind of switching it up, I'll start with, Film Explorer, and we'll work our way up to everyone's thoughts, just final thoughts on Inception.
Oh, Inception definitely is a cinematic experience, and as every Nolan film, it holds up really strong 10 years after, and the visuals back then was one of the top visual films that I saw in theaters. I didn't see in theaters, I saw like at home because I missed Inception in theaters. But like just seeing what he accomplished back then, it was so impressive.
Awesome. Yep. Joe, same question for you, man. Just kind of final thoughts on Inception and 10-year anniversary and where it sits with you today.
Yeah, it remains one of my favorite films. I think also just, again, not to be a broken record here, but looking at it through a different lens based on the conversations that we had tonight was really cool as well. It kind of makes you focus on different pieces that maybe you wouldn't have before. I do think that just the practical effects really help sell this movie for me. And the ongoing, debate about what is actually going on at the core is just a really strong sign of good storytelling.
No, well said, man. I'm literally, as we're talking now, my Blu-ray is playing the behind the scenes, just kind of looking at how he came about this film. Was supposed to be on a smaller scale, but as the years went by, it got bigger and bigger in scale. But CertainVids, man, same with you, my friend. As far as just kind of where this film sits with you after seeing it, X, Y, Z amount of times, 10-year anniversary, just final thoughts on this film, man.
Yeah, I think I might be in a weird limbo state right now because I don't really I do have to probably rewatch it again because I kind of need to. This is one of those films that I just need to like grasp fully, and I don't think I've done that yet. Especially because we were just like having conversations and now I don't think I was able to completely like watch it all the way through, like with just like, you know, just sitting down, kind of just taking it all in. So I will probably rewatch this one more time. But no, it's still probably one of my favorite sci-fi films. It's easily one of my top 10 favorite films of all time. Christopher Nolan, still my favorite director, and this is I want to say it's my second favorite film from him, but it does battle with Memento quite a bit. So don't exactly know my ranking yet, but I think this is an instant classic. The moment it came out, this was pretty much classic, and I can't see that changing. I really can't.
Yeah, no, man. Well said. I mean, Sean, yeah, same thing for you, man. Just maybe putting another spin to the question, just originality in film and just kind of, you know, where this film kind of sets itself apart from some of the sequels, the prequels that we've lived in this last decade or so. But just your final thoughts on Inception, man.
Well, I think it shows that a film like this, that is an original idea that is not it's outside of the status quo of IP and superhero films, can be a box office success, because like you were saying, like this film grossed over $800 million worldwide, and unless it's a film that starts with Marvel, DC, or Star Wars, you know, films like that aren't making money like that. So it holds a place on a lot of people's best of the decade list for a reason, and it holds up, and it's because of the conversations that we can continue to have about this movie and just the movies that it continues to come out with. And for me personally, I think it's better after another rewatch. And, you know, I think it was, I know it was brought up before about watching it with subtitles and getting all of the dialogue stuff and all of those little nuggets that you might have missed. I know that this is kind of an ongoing thing with a couple of the other streams that I've been on, is just looking at the little Easter eggs and the moments of dialogue and how it all ties together. So this is probably a top 3 Nolan film for me. And, you know, with another rewatch where I can pay attention to the film a little bit more, it'll probably go up a little bit more for me.
No doubt, man. Well said, man. And Big J, final thoughts, my friend, on the 10-year anniversary, where it still resonates with you, and kind of where it's maybe placed in the next 20, 30 years in the sci-fi realm.
Yeah, I think like movies like this, what's cool about them is like the inspiration they gave to the movies that came after. Like that scene that we saw the city folding, it's exactly the same we saw in Doctor Strange. So that I think like movies like this, they become more iconic because, like, for example, The Matrix, when we had the bullet time, then even scary movies did it. It's like that just shows how they inspire like the next generation of creators. I think that's what Nolan should be remembered more about. I think he's the only example you can give to a young director, like, do your own thing, do your original story, and like if it's good enough, you will get people watching it. And I think that's what the most important thing he did with Inception is that he showed studios, he showed everyone that you can. And when we talk original, I also have another thing that, like, I get a little bit bored when people say, oh, I saw this in another movie. There's like a lot of stuff in this movie, like if you ever saw Paprika, the animation one, like there's a lot of stuff here that is stole from other movies.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that you see in Tarantino movies that are taken, like not even inspired, it's frame by frame of other movies that he got inspired. But the thing is, he gives his own spin, and in the totality of things, it feels completely original. And I think that's another thing that we like need to start seeing, is like we're not going to find anything that's completely new. If I ask anyone, give me an example of a movie that's completely original, I can always find another movie that have something similar. And what he does here is that he does very well is he doesn't try and hide it. He just makes his own thing with his own spin, and he focuses on his stories that he likes to tell. And it's obvious that he likes things about time, and then it's all about that, and he kind of adapts the things that he saw before, because he might not even realize that he saw a movie when he was 10 years old that inspired him. is in his subconscious, and it just does this. So I think like this movie will stand the test of time because of that. It's going to be a movie that we're going to look at, and we're going to see, look, the next 10 years of movies, 20 years are still picking up on stuff that he did. Is still, and he's always trying to do that. And I think that's when the ego is important for us as a form of art. All these people that have egos that always want to be on top, they are the ones that make like amazing pieces of art. Like Kubrick is like the perfect example. Yeah. Any other guy would do The Shining, and Stephen King would say, "Oh, that's not The Shining," and he would change it. He doesn't give a crap. He does it. And I think we need more people like this. We need more people that really know what they want to do. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like Josh Trank, like the guy that did Fantastic Four. I really wish he would get like a good movie out there, because I think he's a guy with a vision, and he at least tries and goes for it. And I think we need more guys like that just at least go for it. I prefer to see a bad movie of someone that tried than to see a safe movie that is just the same of everyone else. And I think Nolan is an inspiration for everyone that's doing movies now and for a long time.
Yeah. No, I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing for the industry, but that's where the Netflixes of the world come in, Hulu, all the streaming services. If the studios don't want to take a chance on, Spike Lee's The Five Bloods or Martin Scorsese's new film, or, a black female want to do an action film with Charlize Theron, and they find its way on Netflix. So
the wrong Missy.
Like the wrong Missy, yeah. I don't
piece of art,
a piece of masterpiece art there. But I mean, I think these storytellers definitely look up to. I mean, and like you had mentioned, everyone, there's homages, there's tilts of the hat of films. There's bits and pieces of everything. I mean, this is a heist film at the core of this movie, but at the same time, it's the Christopher Nolan, the character of Cobb, and everything that he adds in the subtext and all the stuff that we get from this film. So, yeah, for me, the final thoughts on this film still holds up for me. I can't believe it's been 10 years. It has inspired other films. I think it will continue to inspire other films. I think it will continue to inspire Christopher Nolan to, again, chasing his dreams, chasing, maybe that perfect film, or resonating with all the audiences. But I think this film is definitely fantastic, 10 years ago, and it still is today. And I'm really excited to see what Tenet has for us, and maybe the connective NCU, the Nolan cinematic universe. Really excited to see what comes of that. But wrapping this up, guys, again, I can't thank you enough. Before we head out, we got some final chats here. Favorite movie was Memento. Again, I gotta revisit that, and Prestige. We got Chris from Philstock. No problem, man. You can watch the replay, and we'll love to get you on one of these days on one of these watch alongs. Inception is a masterpiece. 800 million, damn, yeah, it made a lot of money for an original IP. Happy anniversary, Inception. Happy 12 years to the Dark Knight. Again, these are two films directed by the same man. So he's definitely one of the best working today. But wrapping this up, ladies and gentlemen, again, I can't thank my guests enough. And I'm going to have you guys kind of, tell everyone where they can find you, what's next on the plate as far as content, starting with Big J. Just wrapping this up, man. And again, thank you for tuning in and coming on the panel. But wrapping it up and letting people know where they can find you, man. What can we expect from you next?
Yeah, so you can find me and my daughter on Instagram, on YOLO Movies blog. We do reviews, we do lists. We want to do more stuff with the community, so just send us a message. We can do stuff together. We're doing a lot of best performances now, going down our top 20 best performances by a male actor of all times. What's been a challenge to just go to 20. So we're doing that now. We have a couple of more projects, and we have one that we've been working on for a while that we're going to announce soon, and it's going to release when we reach 1,000 posts. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff we're doing. Also, Movie Lovers Movie Club, we're going to have the next event next month. And up to now, it's like a secret team. But we'll announce soon. So just follow us on Instagram.
Fantastic, man. Can't see what that next project is all about. Sean from Moviebirb, man, again, thank you for tuning in, or thank you for joining the panel tonight and having the conversation about Inception. But where can the people find you, and what can we expect from your channel next, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me on again, and it's been great to work with all you guys and talk about this great movie. Right now, you can find me on Instagram at Moviebirb, and I'm working on the A24 tournament in my stories for the month of July. August, I have an idea that I'm working on, but I'm trying to figure out what exactly it's going to be. And then in my main feed, I'm just kind of playing around with different stuff. A couple days ago, I did my first TV series retrospective on Parks and Rec, which is going to be something that I'm going to be doing every other week. I'm going to take a TV series and just kind of go through that. And then also probably starting next week, I'm going to be doing some stuff with my latest Criterion haul, thanks to the big Barnes & Noble sale. So yeah, follow me on Instagram and Moviebirb and just see what's coming up next.
Awesome, man. Can't wait to see what's next on the slate, my friend. Then we got CertainVids. I know you got some stuff in the works, man, but where can people find you, and what can we expect from your channel and all your wonderful content coming soon?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, man. It means a lot. My YouTube channel is CertainVids. My Instagram is CertainVids. My Twitter is CertainVids, and Letterboxd is, surprisingly enough, also CertainVids. You can find me on all the social media platforms as CertainVids. As far as content is concerned, I just dropped my top 5 favorite film protagonists, which is a collab I did with Trevor from Film Geeks. It was 2 videos. There's a villain video on his channel, so you can check those out. I've got I'm doing an MC rewatch and DCEU rewatches. Next up is Guardians of the Galaxy, so that is going to be probably Tuesday. And then I've got top 5 favorite movies of the year so far, which is going to be this Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And then tomorrow, which is Sunday, I do the weekly podcast. Elliot is going to actually be joining as a guest, so looking forward to that. That's the weekly stream. And also going to do some pre-recorded content for the podcast, working on that. And yeah, that's what I've done in the pipeline as of right now. A lot more stuff that I have in the back of my mind. So stay tuned.
Awesome, man. Can't wait to join the discussion tomorrow, man. I'm always a fan of watching your live, so it's an honor to be on one of them, man. Looking forward to it tomorrow. So Joe from Guy at the Movies, who just has so many awesome projects up his sleeve and so many great things on his channel and on his Instagram. So yeah, man, where can the people find you, and what can we expect next from the Guy at the Movies platforms?
Sure. So Guy at the Movies on Instagram, Guy at the Movies 1 on Twitter, and guyatthemovies.com for the latest movie news that I update as much as possible. But days like today happen where you don't really get much in terms of movie news. So another casualty of the pandemic and the world that we live in right now. But in terms of what's coming up, the podcast is Guy at the Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. You can find that anywhere that you listen to your podcast. Released every Wednesday, as well as some bonus episodes that are also released sporadically, sort of as they happen. As those conversations happen. On Wednesday night, July 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we will have Star Wars Quizzo. So I've been doing Quizzo for the past couple of months. I'm starting to theme them a little bit. So we had Marvel Quizzo 2 weeks ago, which was a lot of fun, and Star Wars Quizzo should be really interesting. And then August 6th, I know this is kind of far down the road, but in terms of watch-alongs, Elliot will be joining, as well as Brando Critic and Talking TV. We'll be watching that Josh Trank. Absolute, just fantastic film, right? We'll be watching Fantastic Four because it is 5 years since we got that dumpster fire. So we will be watching that for fun. I actually have not seen it, so I think that's going to be really interesting. But the final thing that I just started teasing is I'm working on an event that will have a lot of involvement from some of your favorite people on Instagram, YouTube, etc. Save the date for the last weekend in August, Friday through Sunday. Some fun stuff coming through on that.
Yeah, man, a lot of great things coming at Guy at the Movies, and definitely excited to see what he has coming up next, ladies and gentlemen. But
the Snyder Cut.
The Snyder Cut.
That's next year.
He's going to have the Snyder Cut before everyone.
Before everyone, exclusive.
I asked you to join the watch for it already, and you said no.
I said no. No, I didn't. You're joking. I'll be there. Wait until you get the Fantastic Four cut. That's going to blow your mind.
Oh man, can't wait. But last but certainly not least, we got Film Explorer, who again is in Florida, ladies and gentlemen. He's living his life. He's living in a dream world right now in Florida with everything going on down there. But glad he was able to be with us tonight and tell the people where they can find you, man, and what can we expect from your channel next, my friend.
No, Elliot, thank you so much for having me. Panel. It was such a pleasure working with you. For our viewers, our fans, you can find me on film_Explorel in Instagram right now. And I do daily reviews. I rank my movies technically by color from 1 to 10. And I try to do one time a month fan cast. I try to upload 3 news a week, that 3 news that I find special. And also something that I've received really good feedback have been the partnership reviews, where I let a movie fan or follower write a review for me and score it and everything, and I post it. So that's been quite successful in my channel. So that's basically it. Everything we all enjoy and love, movies.
Awesome, man. Can't wait. So again, guys, all their links are in the description below, their YouTubes, their Instagrams, all that fun stuff. So definitely show them some support. And as far as just a few little things in the chat, this was fun. Great discussion. Look forward to next watch along. Have a great evening, everyone. Be safe. You too. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And definitely got a lot more planned for next month. But as far as, things to look forward to here, of course, your standard movie reviews, TV reviews. Got a review for Cursed on Netflix, and, Fatal Affair recently. And, my weekly recap of Doom Patrol, Perry Mason. And then next week, and kind of in celebration of crossing a certain milestone on my channel, I'll be doing a Q&A next Saturday at 3 p.m. I have a lot of fun doing those kind of raw, unedited, kind of like these lives, just answering you guys' question live on the channel. So definitely have that on the calendar for next week. And guys, again, I can't thank you enough. A lot of things planned for next month, watch alongs and other lives. I would love to get you guys on, but I thank you for your time tonight. Again, make sure you support all their content. Hope you all are staying safe out there. Again, like, share, comment, subscribe to everyone's content, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.